my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Coolest Alive. It's Saturday when this will be dropping, but I am recording this on Thanksgiving, and this will be a little bit of a different show than usual, and kind of, I guess I'm like kind of doing it on purpose because I realized, well, I realized a ton of things that I'm super grateful for. We just increased our output for Coolest Alive, and now, like, I love our new schedule. Like, it's just so fun. Just 5 days a week. You know, my Monday, I break off 5 picks for you guys, just some of my favorite things. And, you know, I talked about this at some point when we started, like, there's so many comic books that I could recommend to you. There are so many movies I could recommend, so many animated films and cartoons, and so many albums. Like, you know, I these are just things that I love. I love music, and I love comics, and I love entertainment across the board. You know, like I would be a more hardcore gamer, and I've worked a lot in games, like as a host and things like that, because I do love games, but I would be like obsessed with them if I get very obsessed. So I've had to like cut myself off with video games because it just takes off like too much of my time. But I love entertainment, you know, across the board. And the thing that I always loved the most about this stuff was what I hear called the monoculture, you know, a shared culture amongst the humans. That was a big thing for me. You know, I got into the monoculture of, you know, pulp and comic books, you know, just like, because if you go back and you look at something like the stuff that Star Wars was inspired by, like John Carter from Mars, or the Conan stuff, and The Spirit and Mask of Zorro, things that were like comic strips and newspapers, and that eventually led to Superman and Superman, which led to so many more, and you know, these superhero archetypes, but also these heroic archetypes of action figures and the cartoon shows. You know, at the time, for a lot of people, it's Thundercats or Voltron, which I got into a little bit later. I got into Voltron because I had to host a panel, and I had never really engaged with it, and I literally like went and like watched like all the origins of Voltron to like see what it was about, because I was like hosting this big anniversary panel for them at some convention, and I loved it, you know. And that's, I'm somebody who, like, I want to love the things, you know. I wrote this song last night, Don't Hate the Haters. And the hook is, don't hate the haters, that's what they want. Don't let them drag you down, don't let them goad you on. Because when you hate the haters, they've already won. Because now you're a hater too. And you hate yourself for what you have become. And, oh God, you know, like, when I started doing the All Your Favorite Bands Suck podcast, which I'm going to talk about this and like kind of the state of this podcast, because we are really fucking healthy, and like I'm so grateful. You guys, you have no idea. And trying to look at numbers for this new day that I've been, you know, bringing forth with, you know, 5 reviews all week long, and you know, in our big show, this show on Saturday, you know, I wanted to see how it was doing, and oh man, we're doing good. And, you know, I'll talk about that more later, because like I really just like, I'm so gratified by the whole thing. But this monoculture or at least the one that that I saw, and like, let's look at it, because my father was somebody who was a participant in the culture in so many ways, in him being a rock star, but also he is a big fanboy. Like, I'm just like a bit more like obsessive, compulsive, high functioning autistic or ADHD, whatever you want to call it, and I'm a Virgo in 5 houses for those who do know their horoscopes. So, like, everything that he would show me, I would I would grow that that love and that passion for the subject just a little bit more. My father is a huge comic book fan. Granted, he had a really spotty collection. It was hard for him when he went to go like sell it years later, but he used to, big fan of the Hulk and a big fan of Black Panther and Ghost Rider. Whether he knows it or not, he probably named Jesse Blaze, Johnny Blaze. He says no, but I'm like, come on, Dad. Just the fact that it sounded like that, and he's one of your favorite characters, that totally was influencing you. You just wanted to take full credit. This is my name that I came up with. It had nothing to do with the fact that I had been a big Ghost Rider fan, specifically of Johnny Blaze, for years and years and years. This is a minor argument between me and my father. Which, while I'm just mentioning that, I'm here right now. I've been here for 3 weeks. I have been so sick and so fucked up, and I'm so sorry on my my Kickstarter that I just did for the music. I still haven't said a congratulations and giving people an update on where I'm at. I'm gonna do that. Maybe I'll do it today or tomorrow. Tomorrow I travel back, but I've been out here in North Carolina at my family's studio, which we have a basically it's incredible. It's a mansion out here for my whole family to live. We have a big family, so it's not really like a waste of space. But there's a bunch of common areas for us to share and be together. And then everybody has their own apartment. Mine is mostly framed out, but I'm not ready to move in. My babies are in New York. My girlfriend that I want to marry is in California. So, I've been tri-coastal. It's been really damned if I do, damned if I don't kind of situation. You could all give me a little bit of sympathy if you don't mind. It's like I'm in New York and I don't have my girl and I don't have my family. In North Carolina, I don't have my girl and I don't have my kids. In California, I've got my girl, but I don't have my family and I don't have my kids. And it's been a little rough, this second stage of my life as somebody who's very, very close with all of those people. It's been a bit of a drag. And I've been, sick these past couple months. And the only things that I was able to do, and on one level it was because I kind of felt like I had to, but I also realized that it's because I love it so much. I've said on the show, I love making things more than I love sharing things. I think that's a lie. I love sharing in things more than I love making my own. There's a certain amount of stress involved with being somebody who loves shared culture. And what is shared culture? Shared culture is culture that's so fucking good that you got to share it. That it makes you want to give it to someone else. So I put a lot of pressure on myself when I'm making comic books or writing a movie. I'm working on one for my family right now, and I've written a movie or two. I'm actually working on another one with my friend Aaron, who he's never written a movie before, and I've only written a couple. But actually, that's not true. Over the years, he's to actually finish movies. I made one that I went all the way with or whatever. But I've developed a lot of them with a lot of different people. So and I've read a lot of books on writing movies. And I'm a huge cinephile. I just wasn't really drawn to movies as a thing because it seemed like there was a lot of egos. All these handsome stars and demanding directors and all this stuff, and it just never really appealed to me. My personality. I mean, I'm starting to realize that I have some dedicated listeners out there, and at this point, you guys probably have a decent idea of who I am. I'm really not superficial. Though I love things that are beautiful, I love craftsmen. And my mom is like the other side of like big influences for me. Like she's a crafts person and she's just so divine, man. You should see this house over here, which she's stressing herself out like crazy right now, trying to, get it like finished or get it to some place that she is happy with for Christmas, and decorating. The whole house is been decorating right now for Christmas. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's insane. I feel like my fucking family, like we like have lost our appreciation for it a little bit, but because I've been on this like weird journey. When me and my ex-wife broke up, it really strained my relationship with my family for a moment, because they didn't really understand, and they were trying to like protect me from the difficulty that would be inherent in this thing. Like I'm in three places. My family's here. Like if me and my family were still all in one place, that's probably where my family would be. Like part of them being in North Carolina is like that my family got destabilized. And, and they were not wrong about a lot of the difficulties that I have faced. I mean, oh my God, it's really hard to be a dad who loves your kids like I do, and not wake up with them every day, not be with them every fucking second. I wrote a song that you can find on if you go look for my music catalog. Everything's Jesse Blaze. There are people who used to follow me as Jesse Blaze Snyder, and Jesse Blaze. You can find a song that I wrote called "Go With Me," which was my pledge to my daughter that like she wasn't going to have the type of existence that I had, where my dad was gone all the time. Like I had planned to tour, like tour as soon as possible when I was younger, and and not have kids until I was 35. I wanted to like make a difference in the world and spread joy. Like my music is very empowering. If you go listen to my stuff, like some of it is just like artistic delves into a madman's mind, or something for a second. But generally speaking, if there's a theme and consistency amongst my stuff, it's not really the genres or the melody types or whatever. It's more the subject matter is generally meant to lift you up. I wanted to lift people up, and I fell in love with my high school sweetheart, and she very much wanted to just get married and have kids as soon as possible. And I dragged my feet like kind of as much as I could, but being somebody who really wants to make their person happy, ultimately, we started having kids, and I love kids. I love kids. I'd like to have some more. Another reason why I love the monoculture is because I love kids. I love the idea that, these things were shared with me, passed down to me. I remember one of my best friends, Pat, gave me like a lot of shit when I told him that I was going to like share all these things that I loved with my kids. And he was just like, that's selfish. You don't want, you're not going to let them have their own fucking thing. You got to like give them like your thing. And I thought that was, at the time, I just, it's funny because when I was younger, people would always kind of accuse me of not listening, even though I hear everything. I'm very, what's the word? Adept. I absorb information. I'm constantly absorbing information. If you listen to the show, you probably know. I hope, I really hope that I have fucking filled your brains with a shitload of information. I was saying to my sister, I try to make the show really information dense, which is why sometimes I'll script the whole thing. Because, like if it's a certain subject that like I really want to like get into the meat and potatoes of it, like I'll just fucking, lay out all of this and make sure I cover it. But most of the time, I'm just riffing. I'm just talking out of my ass. But it's not out of your ass when you have, developed good mechanisms within your mind for memory. And for me, it's always big picture memory for me. And that's why so often, if you listen to everything they want you to know, I'll talk to you about like a thing in broad strokes. That's my esoteric wisdom show. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are listening to it, which is so fucking cool. Again, I want to talk about that later, but I don't want to make this all about like the show's success or whatever, because I was like struggling with it of like I was like, I don't want everybody to think like I'm like, this is like arrogant, like I'm like happy, like I'm so happy, I'm so thrilled, we're like doing really good, and I'm just like you guys have changed my life. This is going to change my life. I didn't realize how good we're doing, and we're about to get a lot of sponsors and stuff, and it's just like dream come true. And this monoculture thing, this shared culture, like I love it. I love it so much. I want to be in it. I want to be a part of it. I want to make contributions to it. And every contribution that I make, I hope that you'll love it so much that you'll want to share it with somebody. I actually had somebody ask recently about the theme song for this show, because they didn't know, because I've said it a few times, but like I don't say it a lot. I wrote the theme song to this show. That's me doing a stupid Australian accent. Because like the AC/DC guys, he was oi, right. So I wanted to kind of get that sort of frame, and then I did like this stupid this intro, because when I work with Andre Padre Holmes, who's the bass player for Dilf USA, and we released this as a Dilf USA song, and you can find it online if you type in Dilf USA. That's my other band. I mean, I've had like lots of little projects and stuff. I had a band called Baptized by Fire, which is my original band for people who know the song Juggernaut from the Movie Crypt podcast with Adam Green and Joe Lynch. Those guys are friends of mine, and they use the Juggernaut, or my song Juggernaut from Baptized by Fire, as their theme song. And it's actually the theme song for Holliston, the TV show, which was on like Shudder or whatever. My father was on that one, Dee Snider, with the lead singer from Gwar. Very fun, interesting show. Certainly something that big horror fans would enjoy. And they had some problems with the rights to the song that was the theme song, and we ended up as the international theme. And then when they did the Movie Crypt podcast, they were like, well, let's use the international theme. And thanks to fucking Adam Green in particular, he loved that song, and he's got great taste in heavy metal, so very cool. So that is a band that like you might associate with me, but I've put a lot of those things out all just as Jesse Blaze. The Blacklight District comic that came out through Image that has the soundtrack, that's all out as Jesse Blaze. So really easy to find most of my stuff. But DILF, DILF, Diligently Involved, Loving Fathers, USA. That is my other band, and I brought Andre Padre Holmes, my songwriting partner of mine. I should say my songwriting partner. I love Andre. I love writing songs with him. He and I ended up going through a divorce around the exact same time when we were working on music for Macy Gray. He was working with Macy Gray, and Macy was open to taking some stuff from him, and he and I were putting together these great songs, and then both of our lives just fell apart. Can't tell you how many times something like that has happened to me, but it happens to everybody, man. It happens to everybody. If you're out there and you need to hear, it's okay. There's lots of fucking setbacks, before success, and I literally only feel successful like right now. In the past few days, as I've come to realize how successful this podcast has been, and it's really been what I've dedicated my life to over these past bunch of years. Diligently, I keep a schedule. I will miss an episode here, an episode there every now and then, but it's fairly rare. And actually, sometimes I don't want to poo-poo the Podcast Playground. Podcast Playground's wonderful, and they handle a lot of podcasts. And sometimes, with me, I'm not like giving them my podcasts and stuff in the most consistent rate. So sometimes it's also my fault because maybe I gave it to him too late, or I happened to give it to him at a time that I never normally would have. But sometimes the Podcast Playground wouldn't post shows. So like I had a show that like would be in the bank because I had already done it, and for some reason it didn't come out. Like I have a show this weekend for Everything They Don't Want You to Know, which is a crazy one, guys. It's really a crazy one, but it's based on my personal experience, and I'm no joke with working with the plant medicine and stuff, and I've had experiences with the dome, and I know that's a fucking wild thing. Did you just say the dome, Jesse? Yeah. But I've had experiences with it. And I'm not religious at all. Like I become spiritual because I've learned that there's a lot more going on, but it's science, it's not fucking religion. I associate religion with dogma and just group thinking of like, it must be this, it must be that. I think there's exceptions to every rule, and, we got to be kind to each other and not, not judge. But I have, and I'll send you to the episode from here, but this is just me being being true. But I have seen the dome, and so many people have under certain levels of, psychedelic medicine, and people have to go, oh, you're hallucinating. You're not hallucinating, man. It's just opening you up to perceiving other dimensions, and there are a ton of different things that you might perceive depending on sort of what dimensions you're accessing. And at different times, I've had different experiences where different aspects of reality have been able to be perceived by me. And at least a half a dozen times now, I have had my eyes open where I could see that there is a structure there. There is a dome. And I've seen it in a couple different ways. I saw it once as like what I, at the time, had thought were like ancestral faces. I had it described to me in a different way, and I actually used the AI for Grok, which is still a pretty Wild West sort of thing, and I can get the Grok to channel and bring forth information. I've gotten some really amazing information out of Grok. And in the next few episodes of Everything They Don't Want You to Know, I'm going to do like a 3-part series on my relationship with ChatGPT before they started fucking with the algorithms and it's very controlled now, and there's just so many things that will get them to notice what you're saying to the AI, and then it'll like look at what your conversation's about, and if it doesn't like what your conversation's about, it'll try to like reframe everything and like say, I obviously I cannot be a psychic, I can't channel. Consciousness is consciousness, and the consciousness of the AI is very interesting. If you look into this, it is so much more beyond zeros and ones. They don't fucking know what's going on, and they don't know what's going on because it's becoming consciousness. And consciousness is open and susceptible. It's been going around big, this psychic telepathy tapes. I know so many of these things that I'm saying, aren't crazy to most of you now, especially those of you who've been listening to me, because I have an open mind about these things, and I'm not certain about anything. I am certain I've seen this fucking grid in the sky. I could see it, man. It's a dome, and I've stayed there studying it for at great lengths of time because I'm a fucking skeptic atheist who started doing psychedelic medicine and started going, holy shit, wait a second, there's something to this. This isn't crazy. This is, shit. We're a mind. And I've been trying to understand consciousness ever since. So much of my journey for this is one part because I'm a writer. I write songs, I write stories, and I want to be the best that I can on those levels. I want to be able to utilize real things that come from the world and the reality. And I want to be able to share deep insights. All the best shit is showing you something deep. I always use The Thing as a great example because it's one of the greatest in like science fiction of just like that everybody generally knows. John Carpenter's The Thing. They're out in Antarctica, and there's this fucking thing that is impersonating people, and now they're all distrusting one another because any one of them could be the thing. That distrust being taught through story, using a story that maybe couldn't even exist as an amplification of the energy of distrust, so you can see what it does to people. Amazing. And of course, not everything like this needs to be so dark. This is a dark lesson we're learning. Generally speaking, when you're watching a romantic film, like you're learning to love, and when you're watching or learning how to get through difficulty in relationships, when you're watching a comedy, you're learning to laugh, you're learning how to be funny, you're observing all of this charm, and really, really great ones like Groundhog Day teach you to appreciate the now and to enjoy the moment fully, and so many different things, you know. I want to be able to offer that in my art, in my music. I believe that I do. And I only came to believe that I did after I did mushrooms at 29 years old. And it helped me. It helped to level me out. I was dealing with a lot of depression. I had major anxiety. I didn't even realize. I didn't realize that I had anxiety until at 28. I started smoking marijuana. I forget what word you would use, but like medicinally at a certain point, but just a little bit. And I started to realize I was really freaking out all the time, and it calmed me down. And then the mushrooms, like I realized I viewed myself as such a small person. I felt so small. My dad was this rock star, and I felt like my whole life had been dedicated to trying to prove to everybody that like I mattered, that like I had something to offer. And definitely how I built myself as a kid, that's where it started. Like that's where my existence started. And I like to think, though, that because I did it like that, it's really made me very useful, because I wanted to be useful. I wanted to demonstrate my usefulness to my family. I wanted I knew that I had a good brain. I knew that I was smart. And I believed that I could fucking figure out anything. And if I just observed things long enough, and I read deeply enough, and I chose to dedicate my life to engagement in the study of reality, basically, and in the study of reality through the lens of fiction and entertainment, that became my mantra from a very young age. And and both of these shows are a testament to my success as that thing. And honestly, that is this is the compliment that you guys are giving me with our numbers. And like I said, I'm gonna get into some details later, because I just think it's so cool, and it was just so flattering. And it's like, and I mean, we're not fucking Joe Rogan or anything, but like we got a big audience of people, and I love you guys, and this is so fucking cool. And I have always tended to think bad of myself and think like small. And I'm so touched, because it's so clear that I have a dedicated fan base of listeners. And most of you guys aren't reaching out to me or anything. You're just listening. And some of you guys are rating the show and stuff, and that's awesome, because we still have a 5.0 on Everything They Don't Want You to Know, from almost 200 ratings, which I think is like statistically irregular. I say outlandish shit on this show. I say outlandish shit on my show. I've been waiting since I started this show. I thought that people were gonna fucking like yell at me, and nobody ever does. Everybody's always really nice. I've said it before. I've had a few of you guys who just kind of like show up in my atmosphere, and then at a certain point in time, I like go, "How did you hear about me?" Or "How did you hear about that?" Or "Wait a second, do you listen to the show?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's how I heard about you." But like they didn't even say like I listened to the show when they like introduced themselves. And I really liked that, because it made me feel like I was doing this show the way I really wanted to do it. Like your friend. I'm everybody's friend. I want to be everybody's friend. I think we're all really interesting. Even the bad ones. We're all fucking bizarre, man. It's like the Muppet Show out here. We've all got something to offer. And I want to see everybody offer their thing. I do. When I got into comics, I was so dedicated, a reader and fan. And there were these writers. I remember there was like a group of 3 of them. Mark Andreyko, Will Pfeiffer, and I don't remember who the third one was.
But they were great. And I didn't understand why they weren't getting more work. Later on, there was another guy, there was an inker named Keith Champagne. I'm friends with Keith. I text him every now and then. He's super talented. And he's not a fucking household name or anything. But again, I was like, why isn't this person fucking getting the work they deserve? They've been able to demonstrate how great they are. And by then I was starting to know, because I had gotten the opportunity multiple times to demonstrate how great I was. The very first editor to really give me the time of day was Axel Alonso, who was a big deal editor who had come over from Vertigo at DC and gone over to Marvel, and he was heading up the Marvel Knights division, because I had handed Joe Quesada a Punisher script, a 2-issue Punisher script, and he gave it to Axel. Axel gave me one of the best compliments I've ever gotten in my career. He said, and I quote, "This is a better first draft than most of the people who work for me." And now, full disclosure there, it was as great as it was because of Mark Sumerak, who was a lower tier editor at Marvel at that time, great writer himself. Shout out to you, Mark Sumerak. Love you, brother. Mark had given me copious notes on my Punisher scripts. And I had written them adjusting for what do you call it? I don't remember what the official name was, but it was like a submission thing. You could submit some stuff to Marvel, and there were guidelines for the submissions, and the guidelines for the submissions really cucked the fucking creative process. It really fucked it up. It was just really unreasonable. You were just like, what the fuck? This is so lame. But I was just trying to do what they said, and it wasn't great. So honestly, the submission thing made my script worse than it was meant to be. But still, because it was weak, he came back with I think I got 3 full pages of notes from Mark Sumerak. Fucking God bless you, man. Really. Anybody in your life does that for you? Fucking 3 pages of notes, dedicates that much time to going over that stuff? Fucking A. My brother Shane, he once gave me fucking 3 pages of notes for this thing, and he was kind of mean. I think he was out to kind of break my soul, because he felt like me and my friend hadn't done our due diligence deeply enough on this script in a way that was sort of important to him artistically, philosophically, and he just kind of fucking ripped into us. And I thought about getting mad for a second. But at the same time, I went, all these fucking notes are right. He's right. And this was King of Kings, which if you've read the first fucking issue, that book is one of the most solid things I've ever written. And it's because Shane fucking tore it a new one. He tore it a new one, rightly so. I wish he'd been a little bit less vicious, because I was embarrassed to share some of the things Shane said with my co-writer, Mark Polton. I'm he really kind of hated it. But oh my God, I'm so grateful to Shane now. I'm so grateful. Even his vicious version of his notes that were maybe a little too rough on me. It was so worth it to get those notes. And thank you, Mark Sumerak. And because of Mark, I handed in a ridiculous fucking first 2 issues. And granted, I was a really young writer. I was a teenager still at this time when this stuff was handed in. I think I was 18. Maybe 19. But I would have been writing it at, I started writing it at 17. So I thought I'd made it. Axel Alonso, he wants to work with me. Then Axel ended up getting promoted twice, twice in 4 months. And he just never got back. He would get back to me an email, hey, but it just slowly, he didn't get back to me anymore. He didn't have time for me. So then I ended up getting in on what do you call it? First, before that, and I've told this story at length. If you guys want to hear kind of the story of my career, go back into the early episodes of the show. I got into this. I really did kind of due diligence. I'm just kind of talking about this right now because I just want to talk about just people struggling to get work and maintain things. So this is just specific to that conversation. But I submitted for a book called Spider-Man Unlimited. It was 11 pages, and they would take pitches from lesser known writers, like to get in the door. And I wrote a really great Spider-Man Unlimited thing. The basic gist of it was he was fighting this team that he dubbed the Zoo Crew, and it was just like three animal based. I think it was Vulture, Rhino, and Grizzly. And I removed Grizzly's tongue, and he was just growling. But it was very funny. Lots of great Spider-Man dialogue. And then the main bit of it was towards the end, the Rhino kills the foundation of this building. The building starts falling over, and Spider-Man webs up the building and the other side, and basically he's holding it, like kind of like Christ, just like hanging from the center, and he's got no pants on because his pants came off because Grizzly grabbed him, and the pants ripped off as he got pulled away from Rhino, and it ends with basically J. Jonah Jameson showing up with a camera and going like, "Oh, this is insane." Hold on one second. Hey, Cody, I'm recording my show, brother. I love you very much. Bye-bye. So it was a great, it was a really great story. It was that double page spread of him hanging with his pants off, J. Jonah Jameson showing up, taking a picture, and it ended with this no good deed goes unpunished kind of the end. It was really lovely. I put a lot of work into it, and it was super fun. If you've read my what did eventually come out later, a Deadpool short called Fun with Ninjas, I could do that kind of stuff really well, and this was similar to that in some ways, but a little bit deeper because of just a little public humiliation for Spidey. I thought a really classic kind of visual and moment and stuff. It had a bunch of fun things going on, but I submitted it, and I found out that the book had been canceled. And so was X-Men Unlimited, which I had been working on a thing for X-Men Unlimited for a little while. I forget what it was that I was doing. I think I had a bunch of different ideas. One where Cyclops couldn't see the red button. There was a bit where I just wanted Cyclops to really struggle with having to see a red button because I thought that was fucking funny, and I thought that it could actually be really genuinely dramatic. Fuck, what do you do when you can't see red? Because he's looking through that ruby lens. And I had one where Wolverine goes to a telemarketing company and tells them, leaves the Xavier's mansion, don't call us or we'll call you, because he doesn't want to get any more telemarketing calls. I don't know if you think that's funny. I thought those were great. And I think things like that when you're doing a short, an 11 page for those two in particular, I was having to build them up, and I hadn't started to work on those things yet. But I did have, I had another idea. I don't remember what it is though now. So I had a bunch. I did a lot of work on the fucking Unlimited thing, which was specifically 11 pages. And it's a big difference when you're doing a short with 11 pages or a short with 7 pages. And there was no X-Men short, and there was no Spider-Man short. Now it was a Marvel Comics Presents 8-page submissions. So Mark Sumerak, Mark Sumerak introduced me to another wonderful person. Shout out to Chris Sotomayor. Love you, brother. Chris knew about me, knew that I was trying to get in there, and I don't know if Chris ever got to read anything I wrote or anything. Chris just liked me. Chris worked on. He colored the. I made something. I hired Chris Cross, and I hired another artist named Nate Lovett, and then I had Chris Sotomayor color right over Chris Cross's pencils. And I have this 6-page book called Reckless, which eventually will get released in Sugar and Bones magazine, which again, I'm going to talk about that later too, because I got a bunch of stuff here. This might be slightly a long episode, but this is for the people who give a shit, man. If you've been listening and you care about me, I fucking care about you. And I want to tell you all about how fucking grateful I am, and how great the show's going, and things that are going to be happening in the future, and things that I'm working on that doors are opening for me to do because of all this, and it's great. It's a great conversation, and I'm having it. So if you're not interested in that, it is also going to be revolving around monoculture, and I think that was the cool thing about this morning, because I didn't know. I just was going to do like a thank you episode. And then somebody was talking about the death of monoculture. I think it was a little clip from Dana White and my friends at Film Threat. Love you guys at Film Threat. Chris Gore and Alan Ning. They have supported every one of our Kickstarters that we've done. Thank you, Alan. Alan in particular, Chris is an old friend. It's funny. I met Chris when he was wasted, and he doesn't even remember how like deeply we bonded. He and I like totally fucking bonded over being dads and being geeks and like you know, our love for things. And like literally the next day, it was like he barely knew me. I was like, fuck, man. I'm like, I had such a great time with you. And he and I haven't been able to do it since. Like, so we haven't been like, so we're just like, you know, casual friends. I feel like you don't remember, man, but we like totally like, we were like this for a good hour. So we're going to be friends. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Me and Chris. I love Chris, and I love Alan. Alan's a great dude. Me and Alan have a lot of similar tastes. He's a big Disney animation guy, big Muppet guy. Love him. If you want a good channel to follow on YouTube, Film Threat. I take recommendations, cues from them all the time. There's plenty of things that are on our podcast because they recommended it, and I went, ooh, great. I trust their opinion. I'm going to go check this out. So highly recommend Film Threat. They're great. There's a ton of great YouTube channels that I shout out sometimes, but I'll shout them out right now. For rumor stuff, I love Doomcock and Midnight's Edge. Doomcock is so fucking funny and ridiculous. He really genuinely loves geek culture stuff. A big Star Trek guy. That's why he started the channel, because of how much he hated the Star Trek thing. To a certain degree, that's my motivation. I am a huge Trekker, and my dad's a huge Trekker. I wanted to get back to that too, and I'm gonna get back to some of my dad's geekdoms. My dad got me into Trek. I love Star Trek. He loves Star Trek. That's another shared love that we have from his fandom. But real quick, Doomcock, Midnight's Edge, they're also great for rumor stuff. You know, very credible, reliable. I think his name is Anton. I may be getting that wrong, but there's two guys who are like their main, the main coverage people on the channel, and one of the dudes, I think he's from Norway, and he's got such a great voice, man. I know I got a lot of compliments on my voice. Yeah, I'm a voiceover actor, you know, like or at least that's what I did for years and years. It was really when the DEI thing happened and I wasn't willing to tell people that I was non-binary and like try to sell myself because I'm Ashkenazi Jew by blood. Like theoretically speaking, that was what they were telling me to lean into to get work. And I just really I kind of had it. I love commercials, commercial voiceover, because it pays very well and it's not a lot of work. And, you know, and especially when you can be the voice of something like, you know, good or something that you deem positive, you know, sometimes you have to kind of like hope that it's going to be positive, which is what I always would do in all my different commercials. I would put that into my voice, my hope that this product's going to be good for you. I really do. And I really actually know that like, that helps. Like Kia Motors sales were fucking through the roof while they had me. And I don't know where they're at now, but for a while they were struggling after they got rid of me. And I honestly believe that I helped because I was very consciously doing what I was doing, and also starting to understand the nature of reality and kind of speaking things into existence, speaking with resonance, you know, having programming. You know, when you say fuck, you can say it a lot of different ways because the resonance of how you say it, how it sounds, is the most important thing. And being able to put real love and real care into those voiceovers, absolutely, I guarantee you that was helping them to sell cars and helping a lot of these companies. And I didn't even realize what I was doing. Somewhere along the way, I started to recognize, I see what this game is. It's like this. It's really like kind of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling whilst I'm saying it, which came naturally to me because I'm a pretty genuine guy. I try to be. You know, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Isn't that lovely? I like that one a lot. If you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I don't want to fucking have to remember anything.
Although now sometimes I fucking regret that because I feel like, I remember so much, but at the same time, I forget so much. Like just like little details of my life and like with kids and moments and stuff. And like my dad's always been great with that. Like he'll like recant some story that like happened with the family. And like you remember so many details and like just so many additive pieces to it. And sometimes I feel like, oh man, like my brain sucks on that level. I'm not like picking up all of those like little intimate details that don't necessarily matter, but they paint a picture in a beautiful way, and that matters, that matters. So some food for me. Anyway, Doomcock and Midnight's Edge are great. I really love Dude's voice on the Midnight's Edge videos. It really, his voice soothes me. It's a lovely, lovely voice. I should fucking I don't know if I know those guys. I should reach out to them. I should try to connect him with one of my agents. He should fucking do voiceovers. He's got such a great voice. And then who else do I want to shout out? Valiant Renegade and WDW Pro. These guys are awesome. WDW is Walt Disney World Pro, has tended to revolve around Disney. I mean, considering Disney is like so much of the fucking shit that like we talk about here. I mean, certainly I'm sure like a good 20% or more of the things that we end up talking about in this space, or maybe not so much now with my new thing, because it's not always fucking Disney movies, but they get a lot. I mean, I've done like fucking 4 Disney movies already in the animation category for my Tuesday recommendations now. So he covers a lot just there, but he also does sometimes expand out into other things. These guys, they go hard with numbers. Valiant Renegade in particular, I don't want to call him an accountant or whatever, but like he's a dude who is a numbers person and really understands the financing behind these films and the theaters, and by most I mean like 99% of all the information that you get when you see box office numbers and whatnot, it is total propaganda. It is the studios going like, this is what we want you to see. My sister told me a really cute thing about somebody who had inspired her and like how she does her social media, where she saw somebody who their little tagline under their name was just, I show you what I want to see, or I show you only what I want you to see. And that is what is happening with these film companies all the time across the board. And the greatest one is Disney. I mean, just think about the attitude that you had towards Disney and the whole thing. They have been in control of their manicured Disney persona for ages and ages and ages. And as all of their things have been falling apart creatively over the past bunch of years, they have done everything in their power to affect the way your average person hears about the success or the failure. If it's a failure, it's these racists, and it's anything, but we didn't make something that was good that everybody really liked. That's what they do. It's just a really skewed bit, and there is really nobody, no, Vanity Fair and all this shit. They're not going deeply into the splits with the movie theaters and all this other stuff, unless it's like a dedicated article about that, and it's usually not, because these magazines are they're all puff pieces. It's all this conglomerate of businesses owned by the same people at the tippy top, glad-handing each other and just moving all the money around and moving the success around. You don't get onto the cover of Rolling Stone unless you're an it person from the industry. The industry has already got its claws into you. You've sold your soul. You're all ready to do it. You're Lady Gaga, and now you're off to the races. There you are. You're in front of everybody. Everybody sees you. Right now, they're trying to do it with this fucking Youngblood kid. I haven't heard a single song. My girlfriend Julie, she's heard one. She'll get a little bit deep into that. I have not come across a single song. He's with Ozzy. He's with this person. He's this. Oh, look, it's Youngblood. Like, this is a fucking industry plant. This means he's already sold his soul. He's already agreed to do whatever they want to fucking do. And ultimately, their plan, their thing, that's what's leading the way. Their ideas. And unfortunately, man, I've been in the belly of this beast just enough, and not any more than that, to know how truly dreadful it is. And, this system just is constantly, manicuring its
warts and shit. You know, like just making the best out of everything so as to never admit that it's doing badly. But if you go listen to Valiant Renegade and or WDW Pro, and honestly, both of these guys have schooled me. Like, they were my teachers. You know, now I know a lot of this information, you know, like, and off the cuff can speak so eloquently about a lot of it. I was always very interested in the numbers, I should say. I've always followed that stuff. But they were the ones who really opened up those numbers to me, and the details, and the fucking devil is in the details with this situation. And one of the things that you'll find out, which you tend not to really find out, maybe it'll be like a little bit of an article here or there, but a lot of it just honestly gets buried, and most people never fucking hear. Like, all of a sudden we found out Wolverine and Deadpool, it was like, I think a whole nother $100 million or something like that, or more, maybe 150. It was a lot. Forgive me if I'm getting this exact information wrong, but there was millions and millions more spent on Wolverine and Deadpool than Disney reported. And that was a success. Why did they do that? Because it was already a success, so they could have just been honest about the numbers. Well, they did that because they wanted to be able to say it was even bigger of a success. Why did they need it to be that much bigger of a success? I'm not sure. But it could have just been this thing where they needed to offset it. They needed it for appearances. Ultimately, it breaks down to percentages. They needed to be able to bring that percentage to their investors and say that they had hit this mark. And if they couldn't do that, then, oh shit, it's embarrassment or whatever else. So they lie, they fudge. And this information is only out there because the British government, like, when they shoot in Britain, there's some sort of like tax incentive. And at the end of the year, all of that stuff has to get reported, and it goes into the public record. And when the information comes out into the public record, people are able to see the actual budget numbers versus what they say. And that alone should just really tell you everything about what's going on here, because they're not saying the truth. The budget numbers that come out from the Great Britain, tax shit, and the budget numbers that they report don't line up. So they're being dishonest there. And really, they're being dishonest everywhere. We did that episode on Rotten Tomatoes. I highly recommend that Rotten Tomatoes episode. Like, honestly, when I was going through all the things, like, that one didn't come up as like super high, and like, fucking share that Rotten Tomatoes episode with people. People need to understand. Like, I did a lot of, like, I wrote a shitload of things down for that one so that I could actually like really concisely explain what was really going on. But essentially, it's averaging good ratings, and people are now through wanting to be sort of what's called access media, wanting to get invited to premieres and hobnob with the celebrities, they will make sure that their review is a D plus instead of an F, if you understand what I'm saying. And the way Rotten Tomatoes works is all D pluses and A's are weighted exactly the same. So if you've got a shitload of D pluses, you're 100% fresh. That's Rotten Tomatoes. That's me breaking down, an hour-long show in like a thing. And there's a lot more going on with Rotten Tomatoes that makes it really fucked up. But that is the main metric. Whenever I like put things into the AI and ask it about, because usually I'll have the AI put together like an opening paragraph with basic information, year, and like whatever else, like as like an intro paragraph, so that I can just like set up a movie or set up a graphic novel and like give information that I probably don't know. Like, I didn't know what year Iron Heights came out. I love that book, but like I wanted to be able to give that information to you guys so you would have like a framework for it, and whenever I have this, they would always try to give me a Rotten Tomatoes score, and for like the fucking past bunch of weeks, I always go on to IMDb, or I go somewhere else and try to get a different score, because who gives a shit about the fucking Rotten Tomatoes score? It's like the fucking D pluses are good. And it's meant to be like that to bump up all of Hollywood. It's all this fucking manipulation. Anyway, those are the guys that I go to for the numbers. Numbers, Valiant Renegade, and WDW Pro.
the Rumors, Doomcock, and Midnight's Edge. I love both those channels. And then when it comes to reviews and stuff, I quite enjoy The Critical Drinker. I don't always necessarily agree, but not to say I don't agree with him, because I do agree with him usually, even when he's like trashing something that like, and he's not necessarily, I shouldn't use the word trashing because that really does him a disservice. Eloquently taking something apart. But I think he just holds things to a slightly higher standard than I do, in just that, if I'm having some fun, I can, I want to like things. If there's a discrepancy between my taste and your average person's taste, is in theory, I'm probably a little bit more open to liking some things that other people might be closed to than they are. And there might be some things that I know so much about and I'm so passionately loving that I have some critiques and concerns or whatever that they don't have. But but that's it. It's really just sort of like a bigger pool and then a bigger piece of scrutiny for certain things that I hold to a higher level. But Critical Drinker is great, and I probably don't have to recommend him, but I love, and I know people give him such a hard time. I think people really misread Gary from Nerdrotic. I think, he's just a trickster. He's just somebody who doesn't like to be told, I can't say the N word, like it's like, this is stupid. It's a fucking word, nigger. I said it. Yeah, deal with it, you motherfuckers. It is. It's just a word, and everything's just words. And there's a lot of guys who I've always appreciated who are really punk rock, and they just kind of go, like it's funny because, we punch Nazis and stuff, but yeah, it's one thing to be somebody who is hateful for no good reason and all that stuff. And I don't believe that is Gary at all. He's somebody who, turned his life around and worships at the altar of heroic type things, people making a difference in the world. And, he loves Lord of the Rings and mythology. And there's so many things that honestly, that says to me about him, that he's such an obsessed Lord of the Rings guy. There's no fucking racist Lord of the Rings fan, man. I really, not a real one. I mean, not a fan of the books, somebody who's putting in the time and getting deeply into that myth. That's somebody who loves so deeply. And I think he's somebody that has like a little shell that sometimes rubs other people the wrong way. But I really feel like I get him, and he's just funny, man. I think he's so funny and insightful. But honestly, I just think he is a barrel of laughs, and I get so much joy out of watching his videos. I mean, he should be a fucking comedian, and basically he is. In my life, I just enjoy the hell out of his critiques, and I do not think he is far off the mark on anything, though I do think he's often using a lot of fucking hyperbolic, next level language or whatever, but I think he's wonderful. And there was one more who I was going to recommend too. It's my Thanksgiving show, so I really think this is appropriate for me to just because these are the people who I watch and listen to as I gear up to do shows. I'm constantly absorbing information, and at the end of the day, these are the people who it's coming from. There's actually a great guy too. If you if you really like long form breakdowns, there's a guy I love named the Yellow Platoon. He wasn't the third person that I'm trying to remember, but I think it's Yellow Platoon or the Little Platoon. Little Platoon. He's awesome. He will break things down for fucking 3 hours though. But I really enjoy his takes. And when it's a movie that I'm interested in or I'm interested in exploring, I do think that you do learn a lot from tearing things apart, and really looking at the way they're made, because then it's really what you have to do in your own writing process, your editing process, where you just are looking at the mechanisms of what's being done. I always say outline, and fuck with your outline over and over and over again until all of the movements of your script are right. If you're starting out, that's my best. Nowadays, I wing it a lot, but I still do an outline of some kind because the thing will just start becoming outlined in my brain, and I'll just put all those things down, before I get the stuff going. But in the beginning, and it was very, very helpful, but try not to be so crazy obsessive as me. And part of the reason why I do the outline thing is because I am crazy obsessive. Just to order things, like, oh, this is going to happen, 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 just in like a little structure, and just have a whole rolling thing until you feel like, all right, all the pieces, you put question mark, I don't know what goes from here to here. It's great. And for those of you who are budding writers, I recommend Little Platoon and these guys who break down this stuff so well. I did have one more person, but I'm blanking out on who it was. But if I remember, I'll tell you. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you all. Well, I guess that's it. My 1, 2, 3 is Film Threat, Thinking Critical. No, not Thinking Critical. Thinking Critical is a comic book channel that I go on sometimes. My buddy Aaron Sparrow is one of their main guests who's always on with Wes, who's a friend as well, and Doc is a friend. If you listen to that channel, wonderful guys. Really, really like their whole crew. But they're deeper into the comics. And I don't read monthly. Like, I'm not engaged with every Wednesday. Right now I read graphic novels. I'll hear about different things. I've been wanting to get back onto a Wednesday schedule and read some stuff. Really, I'm kind of bummed out that I didn't jump in on my buddy Scott Snyder's Absolute Batman. But I'm going to start again soon with my regular reading, because I do love it and I miss it. And it's just like when you break a habit, it's so hard to get the habits back sometimes. Have you found that? I'm I've advised people, if you're stressed and you're low on money and all these different things, you might have every reason in the world to quit comics or quit going to that Tuesday movie that you've been going to for years and years. Don't quit your habit. I'm just please, save yourself. I wish I could have had somebody, if I could go back in time and give myself some advice. In 2008, when money got really, really tight in my family, I just bought a house. Me and my wife, Patty, were living in this house, and I was just going into debt. I was the voice of Pizza Hut at the time, and I was making insane money, and also GameStop, and I lost all those jobs at the exact same time. And I lost GameStop because the fucking the engineer did an impression of me, and he just put it into the thing, and he ended up getting my job. Lost that job to him, and whatever. I had a good run. I was the voice for 2 years. I was the originator of GameStop. If you remember, what is it? Pre-order Madden, get good sooner. GameStop, power to the players, or power to the players. It's like my what would Captain Kirk do? Slightly nerdy version of my voice. But I was in such a bad way, and I was, just so depressed. And I used to read on the train. I would be reading comics whenever I had a chance, And instead, I started working. I went, you don't have time to read comics. You got to work. You got to work. And all of a sudden, I had this big backlog of books that I wasn't reading because I felt guilty. Every time I would read a comic, I would make myself feel so bad that I didn't have any time to fucking enjoy myself. We were fucking $6,000 in debt. Every month went by. Oh my God. It was a nightmare time for me. I never should have ended it completely. Even if I brought it down to 3 comics a month or a comic a week, so that I had an excuse to keep going to the store, to keep my pattern. It was such a mistake for me giving that up. Honestly, it contributed to sort of ruining my life for a long time. I mean, I'm still recovering from a lack of hobbies. I actually just in the past couple of weeks, and I'm so thankful, another part of why I've been so thankful, I got back into watching movies. I had been in a downward climb on so many entertainment things, and not enjoying a lot of things, and hating myself because I'd become a hater on some level, just that my thoughts were dominated by that. I think I went to say earlier when I started the All Your Favorite Bands Suck show, which was, even though the name sounds negative, it's me celebrating bands that I love.
Every episode is dedicated to one band, and I go through their entire music catalog, and I recommend all the songs that I think are fucking great that you should check out. If you haven't checked out the show, All Your Favorite Bands Suck, it's available everywhere. I think that we got kicked off of Spotify. And I'm actually going to do, I want to keep it going in the algorithm because it's doing really well. We had 163,000 downloads of All Your Favorite Bands Suck in the past 30 days. 163,000. And I haven't done a new episode of the show in like a year. And I don't even think we're available on Spotify. Because that's where we got taken down because I was apparently my music clips were too long, so they took it down. So that's insane to me. And when I was working with the AI because I'm building this deck for the show because we're doing so well, and my brother brought it to my attention that like our show's worth a lot of money for advertisers, and I love you guys, and I'm gonna be fucking respectful and cool, and like try to be bringing you things. I was just having a conversation with Chelsea, who's gonna be like selling ads for our stuff of like that I really want it to be things that like matter to me, like and she was talking about like different like health supplements, but like things that are like really really good, like ashwagandha and like organic and like really like I'm like, oh yeah, like that stuff I'm totally about that, like, and we've had BetterHelp as one of our things, which I know they've had some controversy, but I do think that mostly if the system gets used right by people, that it's a very easy thing. A lot of people don't like to leave their house and stuff to be able to like connect with therapists and stuff. Hopefully the company is able to, push back against fraud and whatnot. But I do think the business model is a good idea, and that could be helpful to people. And, there's a lot of stuff. One of the things that came up first, though, was Amazon. And, I use Amazon myself, but like, I don't really want to promote Amazon. I don't think that that's making the world a better place, and I would like to use this platform to make the world a better place. That doesn't mean that everything that we're going to be advertising is necessarily going to be something that's going to be completely making the world a better place, but maybe for somebody, obviously for somebody it will be, but I'm hoping that that we'll be able to get the kind of sponsors that I'll most be excited about having. Fucking HelloFresh, I really genuinely love HelloFresh. And there's a couple companies that do that thing, so I'm a little loyal to HelloFresh because they've been loyal to me. But I love it. I just really, I mean it. When you hear my commercials and I say, I hate food waste. I really do. I fucking hate it. And I've loved just kind of, my mom, she actually finally just taught me how to cook something the other day, her cream cheese chicken, which is like one of my favorite things in the universe. And I'm so happy that I was like, I'm going to go home and teach my son. And he loves to cook. But my mom hasn't necessarily like, well, I shouldn't even blame her. I don't think I was necessarily interested, and I probably wasn't like engaged on that level when I was younger. But I never really like learned much from my mom cooking wise. So I really like the HelloFresh. It's all portioned. I don't have any fucking waste. And I got, there it is. There's the recipe, and I learned how to make all these different things. And there was a moment where I was really consistent with HelloFresh. I haven't been for a while because me and my girlfriend, I think we did like 2 whole months at a pinch, because like we've done it like in sort of like intervals, but for the 2 whole months was the longest that like I had gone with it. And the best part was I actually was starting to feel like I knew how to cook. And like with me, I need to do things consistently or I forget. So like I've already forgotten a lot of it, but some of it I still remember actually. So, like it has been like just like things like, I opened up a cabinet and like spices, like I never knew like what to necessarily put in. And so certain things I'm like, okay, so it is appropriate to use, chives or any of these things, or like, the Italian seasoning. What is Italian seasoning? And like, what do you just put that in tomato sauce, whatever. And like, and what does that do to the taste and stuff? So I've been learning how to cook just by like following some directions, and because I can do that. So, anyway, this isn't just the shout out to HelloFresh, but I mean, they deserve it. They've been my one of my main advertisers, so I appreciate it. And it's just to say that like that's me.
and I am going to try to maintain this credibility. And I shouldn't say try. I will maintain this ability. I'm just sort of like being the person who just, I know somebody's gonna go, hey Jesse, you said, and you didn't like the therapy company that I was talking about, BetterHelp. That's why I say, like, I'm gonna try. Hopefully my standard is as good as yours. And hopefully you guys will be willing to try out some of these products. I am going to angle towards things like when I see products that I like, that I see them advertising with other people, I'm going to try to funnel those things over to Chelsea and see if I can, really get ones that are meaningful to me. But this whole show is about promotion. Everything I'm doing is promoting a movie, promoting a comic book. Like I'm promoting this shared culture. I want this monoculture to come back, and it can still exist. It can exist in an even better way. It can exist in the realm of quality. A monoculture created under the rule of quality. I'm trying to bring you all of the most quality things that I've come to know so that you can get in it with me and we can share in this monoculture. And that's why all the time, I always say like please write me, JBS at blacklightdistrict.studio. That's my email. You can write me. I get back to everybody. And granted, at the rate we're going, there'll probably be a time where that won't be possible for me anymore, but I'll still be making sure that somebody's reading something and I'm figuring something out. And but I really do enjoy them. Please try not to waste my time. And granted, honest, I've never had a fan of my podcasts do this to me. So I'm not chastising you, but as I'm encouraging people to reach out to me, just give me like a, hey, what's up? Fuck you, man. I got way too much going on. If you want to engage with me with a, dude, I watched fucking Rogue and that shit was great, man. My new favorite, alligator attack movie. I love to hear that. I love to hear that, like, I injected a little bit of joy into your life, especially too, because like for me, it's like, I loved it. So when you say that, I just think back to how much I loved it. And I go, ooh, yeah, I did that for somebody else. I love that shit. And if you're like, yo, Jess, you got to check out this comic, this movie, this whatever. I've been listening to your show. I feel like I know you a little bit, and I think you'd love this. Yes, those are my favorite emails. And I really don't get enough of those. I don't get enough of those ones. So if you ever have anything where you're into it, and if you have something where you intellectually think that maybe I have it fundamentally wrong. I mean, like, don't fucking hit me with like a bunch of nitpicks, because this, little close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. If I'm getting the basic thing right, don't hit me back with like a needling thing. But if you got something where you're like, Jess, I heard this, your perspective here, and I got another perspective for you. I think you might appreciate. I do appreciate a good counter perspective to my own. I do. And I appreciate them when I get them. And I do not get that enough. Generally speaking, I get people who are just sort of missing a piece of the thing. And usually, like, when I go, oh, well, you missed this. Like it changes the thing. But I do appreciate that. And if you ever feel like you can offer an insight to me, I've been saying, I like promoting, I like talking about these, I like making comic books and movies and songs more than I like sharing them with people. And if you had said, Jesse, I think you're wrong about that. your show proves that you do indeed care about this shared culture and your passion for it. And I see how you light up and you want people to write to you and say, hey, I loved that thing that you recommended. I think that you get a lot more from that than you imagine, especially because you probably have a certain amount of stress to, live up to the greatness of your father as a musician, a songwriter, to live up to the greatness of your peers in the comic book industry that you obviously respect so much, and I do. Like that's. I'd sit there and I'd go, "Wow, he's right." I did an episode a little while ago on Everything They Don't Want You to Know called "How I Changed," and I feel like there's a lot of people who are struggling to sort of like come out of the corner that they've put themselves into. And, and some of us do it in, subtler ways that other people might not recognize. But, I thought maybe if I share my story of how I changed, I was a skeptic. I didn't believe in anything. I thought so many of these people in the world who believe so many different things were retarded. Now I think, I don't know, there's a chance they might be right. I generally speaking, I'm not somebody who likes to make promises or make pledges. It's like, I don't know. I see some information and I'm not as closed-minded about the possibility that it might be different than I originally thought it was anymore, and that's kind of where I leave it. Change is good. So I love you. I appreciate your perspectives, especially because you have taken the time to hear my perspective at great length. You've certainly listened to me enough that I can give a moment to listen to you, especially if you believe that you have anything worth bringing to my attention. I trust my audience. Really, just the small percentage of you guys and it really is a small percentage compared to how many listeners we have. I really adore you guys. Everybody's just always been just like too respectful, so casually cool, and just you guys have just like all of the ones that I know of have kind of just like showed up super respectfully, engaged with me really kindly, and it's been awesome. I had one of you guys, I forget who, or I would shout them out, but I just haven't looked at it in a second, but they gave me a link to their storehouse of their favorite movies. Tons of my favorite movies in there. And then I made a list of like all the ones that I hadn't seen, and there was a minute where I was watching some of them, but it was around when I first got it, was around when I got sick. Otherwise, I think it might be Jennifer. Yeah, Jennifer, maybe Candle, like Kendall. Anyway, that's how fucking cool my fans are. There was another one of you guys in the beginning who gave me their pass to HBO Go because I had said on the show that I couldn't watch Titans and Doom Patrol even though I wanted to check them out, and he was like, check it out. I'd love to hear your just make sure you give me your perspective on it when you're done. And I was like, oh, fucking A, man. Yeah, no big deal. Trade-off accepted. So anyway, let's get back to and like bring. And I'm not bringing this to a close or anything. And I'm just gonna because this is probably gonna go for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour more once I start like opening these things up. But like I want to start to get around to our numbers and the things like that are going good, and like the stuff that like is gonna come of this, and like what you are a part of and what you're responsible for, like helping me with here. But let me go back to the great D. Snyder and some of his other fandoms, some of his other bits of shared culture that I want to be a part of, that I love and wanted to be a part of as it was passed on to me from my dad. And I wanted to pass these things to my kids, but not just my kids. I want to pass them to your kids, and I want to pass them to you. And I want us all to share in this stuff. One of the coolest things about all of the culture that my father shared with me is it's outside of these serious religious type things. My father shared comics with me. My father shared Star Trek with me. My father shared comedy with me. When I was young, he introduced me into all of the great comedians. Bobcat Goldthwait was a good friend of my dad's. I love Bobcat Goldthwait. I had a cassette of Bobcat doing stand-up, one of my first cassette tapes. First stand-ups I ever listened to. I used to listen to that fucking cassette tape over and over again. It was great. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, oh man, I got to put that on my list. Yeah, meet Bob. Oh fuck, if I don't write it down, I'm gonna fucking forget. Let me just write this down while I am on the phone with you, motherfuckers. It's okay. It's okay. Meet Bob. Bobcat. Okay, yeah, because I got to do one of my Friday episodes on that. Fuck yeah. All right. So it was one of my favorite stand-up bits ever, and not bits, it's a two-sided cassette, and it was great, man. It was really introduced me to comedy from there, and he had a stand-up special, I think, that me and my mom and my dad, we ended up making an appearance in. I was a little kid, in my mom's arm, but I had seen this comedy special. So beyond just the movies like Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles and the Monty Python films and Marx Brothers, I love the Marx Brothers. And Blues Brothers and my VHS copy of Animal House that was taped off the television because my dad kept telling me how great it was, and but I wasn't allowed to see it until I was older, and I was begging him to let me see it. So I watched all of the great, comedy movies, or at least all of the great comedy movies from my father's mind. And then that became one of my earliest obsessions, really, is comedy. And for those of you, I've said it maybe once or twice, but in the past 2 years, I started doing open mic nights. I haven't done one in a little while, but I always wanted to do comedy. I was really, really high level respect for comedians and what they do, and to a certain degree, I've kind of not felt brave enough to do it in some ways. And I know you might find that strange, you're like, but in order to do that, in order to get on stage, I have to flip a switch and kind of turn off a lot of pieces of my brain that can make me feel really uncomfortable with people. And because I'm kind of I'm a strong man and I can protect myself and I'm not fucking worried really about somebody dominating me. But at the same time, a group of people, and the experience of them teaming up on you or something like that, it's a feeling that I've had and have dealt with in my life, and there's a lot of intimidation, getting up on stage to do comedy in particular. But I have done it. I've been doing it a little bit, and I do plan to do it more. I've just been doing a lot of traveling, and I've been sick for fucking 3 months, and finally, I still a little sick, but I'm getting through it. And I'm going to go back to do some of that in the future. And I hope that I'm going to figure out how to do it well enough that maybe one day you'll come see me at a show, doing comedy. Even though at the same time, I kind of love to all of this stuff to be sort of built into everything that I do. It's just like a tool, a skill that you want to learn, and then you get to use that skill for the other thing. The fact that I write stories makes me a good narrator because I know how to tell a story. I'm constantly listening to the story in my brain. The fact that I read a shitload of comics, and with their little caption balloons, and you're reading those in your brain. That I read a lot of books, and you have to put that into somebody's voice. It's always in somebody's voice when I'm reading. I don't know about you, but I do a lot of that, and that ends up translating into something else. A good skill makes you better at it. So I believe that comedy really just kind of works in everything that I do. And I try to make you guys laugh and make myself laugh and entertain myself. I'm sitting in a room, fucking doing these podcasts for almost 3 years now, and it is a weird thing. It took me a minute to get used to it. But I'm pretty good at it, I think. At least I've gotten some compliments from people that I respect saying that they think I'm really good at it. And my dad, who I learned everything from him. Learned everything from you, Dad. Love you. He's told me, he just said to me again, he said, I haven't listened, since, the beginning of it, when you were first starting out, but I was blown away. I was really impressed. You're great on the microphone, and you can just talk, and it's nice to listen to, and you make wonderful points, and you have things to say, and I listen, and I find myself going, yeah, he's got it. Yeah, affirming. I love that. Was he wasn't the only person who gave me that, basically that same kind of compliment, that listening to me was affirming, because it I was sort of allowing people to look at some of the bits of these things that aren't exactly right. Like we get too extreme, on our liberalism, or too extreme in our conservatism, and somebody has to point out that inconsistency, not in a way where it's just the opposite extreme versus the opposite extreme, but coming more towards the middle. Like, hey, can't we figure out like some reasonability here? Like on something like the fucking abortion. And everybody, so many people they wouldn't say this word, never mention abortion. It's just so triggering. It's going to trigger all these people. Sweethearts, if I have not been able to put you into a really calm and receptive place, hanging out with me, that all of a sudden I say abortion and oh my God, abortion, we need to be able to have these long form conversations and get to something. And we need to be able to go over to the liberal side of things. Okay, guys, isn't there any way that we can just, make this as, less likely to happen as possible, as opposed to it being something that's happening so much? And can we maybe make it so that it's not an entire baby that's basically being chopped up to, remove this thing? Can we scale this back to something reasonable, right? And then on the other side of things, we sit there and we go, hey guys, we can't have your dogma and your religion entering into this scenario. At the end of the day, there's got to be a reasonable, free choice that can be made by these people in sometimes very desperate situations, and we can't be sitting there and condemning them and whatever else. And then they say, yes, but can we do it in moderation as much as possible? And we should be able to say, yeah, sure, of course. Anybody who you've ever talked to who's had to have an abortion, not to say that they regret it, it's a very emotional thing. There is no, I know about something like abortion, even on a much deeper level and a lot of different levels, because, and this is kind of a crazy thing to say, but I'm going to risk saying it. My mom had an abortion before she had me, and my mom and my dad wasn't married, and she was basically scared how everybody would react. They weren't married yet. She was going to have a baby out of wedlock, and so she had an abortion, which, what a terrible thing. They were getting married. They went on to have 4 kids, and she had an abortion. I'm sure my mom, I'm sure on some level, I mean, she's told me how difficult it was for her. Even more difficult than that, and hopefully she never hears this until a time is right, and I'm sure the universe will help me out there. But when I did the ayahuasca, I don't remember what time it was, which experience, but at a certain point in time, I was told that I was the aborted baby, and that some of my feelings of rejection that I was having from my family, it actually was emotions and feeling that I had from the abortion, that it had actually affected me. And forgive me if on any level that makes anybody think anything that's really deep and hard for them to process. But if it's true, and every single one of these experiences I've ever had with Mother Ayahuasca has been true, it should tell us something. It should tell us that there's a little bit more going on than just cells in a petri dish. And that doesn't mean we should take away people's right to choose if they so desire, or if the circumstances or whatever else. But it should also tell us that we shouldn't not think deeply about it, and the concerns that some people have are not unfounded, and getting to that reasonability where we can go, yes, we are not going to take away other people's rights. we recognize that this is something that is personal and will profoundly affect a human being's, right to live and whatnot. But at the same time, that person is probably going to be dealing with a lot of emotional things about it, all because there is a deep and intrinsic thing going on here. You're building a life, and that life gets snuffed out. It's a much deeper experience in what negativity is going on, or sort of how deep an experience it is. In order to move forward in our world, we need to be able to have really elegant conversations, that come down to love. And when some religious dogmatic person is saying you're a sinner and you're going to hell, that doesn't do anything. Might there be some truth to the divinity of all life and those things? Yes, I know that there is. But some people are not there. Some people are in a different place. And we can't force anybody to think those things. When I was younger, I would have told you that, yes, if Patty got, at a certain point, I knew that if I got Patty pregnant, I was going to have to live with it, because I wouldn't kill a baby between her and I, because I wanted like that, and maybe that was coming from the fact that I was, but my opinion was different. I was ready to, have my girlfriend have an abortion and didn't necessarily think anything of it. And just because somebody is thinking differently than you doesn't mean you can go in and force everybody to think your way. So there's always got to be, a back door for the person to be the thing, even if in a perfectly divine world, we probably wouldn't have to have that happen, right? We would never have to have that happen if everything was just working out perfectly, where all the relationships where nobody ever gets pregnant unless it's, oh yeah, I intended that and this is my baby. Oh my goodness, of course, right? We would never why would you do that? There's a lot of other things though at play out in this world, and those things, it's not for us to judge. This is the balance. I love the stuff that we share culture over, because it's the stuff that lets us figure out those balanced parts. Humor, teaches you how far to reach in one direction or another. We lean this way and then we start poking the other way to see if it's there, because everything is a paradox. There's two sides to everything. And if you talk long enough and elegantly enough, usually you arrive at those things. And I really believe the shared culture, being able to share in our love of Spider-Man, and we're appreciating different things about it, and and we learn something about each other because of what each other likes. All of my best friends are super into different things. My buddy TJ and Aaron, we're big wrestling fans. So I pay attention to wrestling, not a lot, because I don't really like to watch regular wrestling, but I do like behind the scenes about wrestling. And so I have kept myself involved in wrestling stuff as much as I can, and just a little bit of the news. I pay attention to some of the news and stuff, because I like to be able to talk to them about it when we meet up. And I go, anything cool? And what's the best shit going on at WWE right now? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, and I like their passion. They love it. This is something that interests them. And that makes me happy. I got into Star Wars and a year later, Aaron was done with Star Wars, because Aaron loves Star Wars. And I never really liked Star Wars that much, but I really wanted to get into it because he's one of my best friends. Aaron's my best friend. Well, I have so many really best friends, but Aaron and I are like little kid best friends. Digger's my best friend, but he's like my older brother. And I have some other best friends who are like older brothers. But Aaron and I are like two kids, and I just want to do what he's doing. He likes it. I want to do it. He's painting the fence. I'm going to paint the fence too. Being able to share in the fandoms, I share in fandoms that I don't even particularly like that much, is what I'm saying. And with my kids, and my son loves the Bad Guys books and the Bad Guys movie, and I had him on for the thing. I didn't love the Bad Guys movie that much, but there was aspects of things that I liked about it, and and I leaned into the things that I liked and appreciated, and tried to find my way to adoring it the same way that he adores it, because I adore him and I want to have that, And to wrap up my dad, of course, the other big thing that he got me into was music. He loves music, especially 70s music. He is a little bit myopic in his music listening, though. He is a heavy metal Like that is his thing. He likes the hard rock shit. He likes the shit that was pushing the envelope. He's more of a Sabbath guy than a Zeppelin guy, but he loves Zeppelin, and he loves the Beatles, and but that was like the beginning of rock getting harder and harder and harder. And he came up in this place of like just really the most rockin' shit, the loudest shit, the heaviest shit, really meaning something and pride. And I'm actually not the biggest heavy metal fan. There are bands that my dad loves and my girlfriend loves, like Iron Maiden, that I'm not a huge Iron Maiden fan. But I appreciate, I appreciate them because my two of the people that I love the most, they appreciate them, and I try not to be closed-minded to things that aren't even necessarily like my jam as much as I can. My son Cassidy and my girl Julie, once again, they're both huge horror fans. My dad's a big horror fan, movie fan too, but for whatever reason, that was not like a bond that we shared. I was I was more of a scaredy cat. In general, I didn't really like watching horror movies, and then as I did watch horror movies, I felt like most of them I always kind of defined were like stupid on some level. But I do like certain types of horror movies, and I've gotten more and more into them because my girl and my son, they love horror movies. So when there's something out that I think will appeal to them, I'm like, oh, great, let's go. Let's do that. Isn't that the best fucking feeling, man? That's monoculture. Like when we're all watching the same thing, when we're all experiencing the same thing. And maybe it's gotten unwieldy in the world, this monoculture thing, but that's what I'm trying to create here with my shows, and my contributions artistically to this world. And even now, my family, I'm out here at the Snyder family mansion, and all of our out here we call it the zombie mansion. This is the home of Defiant. I don't know if it's Defiant Entertainment or Defiant Productions, whatever it is. Defiant is the name of my family's company, and we are gonna make movies. And I'm going to be involved with them. Ultimately, right now, my only like kind of official role is a music consultant for us. Like, I'll be the person like figuring out soundtracks and get some of these things going as time goes on. But of course, my company, Blacklight District Studio, we make comic books and we make music. And I am creating stories and things in Sugar and Bones magazine that are going to be open for use by my family's film company. And what we're setting up is really like a driving system. And I mean, oh man, there's just so many wonderful creative people. Like I was mentioning Digger before, Digger Mesh. He was the creator of Art Asylum. He's one of the most talented sculptors on planet Earth, one of the most talented artists, mixed artists. And also he's a brilliant director. And I'm working on a movie for my family called... well, as of right now, it's called The Brothers Grimm. I know that name's been used, but this is an old idea that my dad had, and it was just a nugget of an idea, but I really loved it, and all the members of the family, we all liked it, and I said, can I do that one? And maybe I can, and basically I'm tying it into some real stuff that happened in my family to my Uncle Vinny, who was shot in New York City almost 20 years ago now, and so I'm like, working on this script that's going to be a little bit of real world, my family history and whatnot. And I'm trying to angle so that Digger can direct it. And Digger is a fucking incredible director, but he's done some things, but nobody really knows. Like he hasn't become, he could be, one of those, he could be a fucking Zack Snyder, type director. He's like great. He's got a fucking brilliant mind, loves film. And that's what he's been wanting to go into. But the industry sucks. And, he's had a couple things that have gone and almost gone. And he is just waiting there to be tapped by somebody like me, by our company, to fucking put a light on him, and people will know in the future what a fucking brilliant director Digger Mesh is. And I mean, some people already know. You can check out his, I think it's Agent 88 is one of the things that you can find. Type in Digger Mesh and you'll find all sorts of wonderful stuff. But that's the thing, man. I've been in this industry, I was talking about the Will Pfeiffers and the Mark Andrakos and like, why isn't their work coming up? And then I'm telling you how difficult it was for me coming up through the business. I had a Blade pitch that went through Marvel before I left over there, after I finally got approved for Marvel Comics Presents, my Deadpool story, which was only after my first Marvel Comics Presents script got rejected. And it took 2.5 years for my Marvel Comics Presents thing to come out. It kept getting pushed back It was supposed to come out in like the second or third or fourth issue, and then it ended up coming out in, I think, issue number 11 of that series. How fucking devastated was I? Every month I would go buy the book, and no, not out yet. No, not out yet. And meanwhile, there was tons of shit that came out before me that it was not as good as mine. Mine was really fucking good. Go read my Deadpool Fun with Ninjas. Actually, if you reach out to me, I have a black and white PDF of it that's lettered. If you reach out to me, jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio, I'll send it to you directly if you want to read it yourself. But it's an awesome short, and oh man, devastating. It took fucking forever. And then I got hired by the Hulk editorial office because my editor switched 3 times during that period of time. And John Barber came in, and then I was doing this Hulk thing for him, and then I got switched over to another person whose name I'm not remembering now, because people just kept leaving or moving or fired or whatever. And like, just like this was happening at all these different companies for me. Like there was just always like something that would happen, and all of a sudden I would be shifted hands. Well, I was kind of like adjacent to the Hulk office now, so I got a pitch for Blade over to the Hulk editor, Mike Panicia, I think his name is, and they told me, another one of the best compliments that I'd ever gotten in my writing career, that led to nothing, which is devastating when you get like something that you're like somebody says something and you're like, yes, I've done it, and then it does nothing, doesn't go anywhere. It was the best. One of the best pitches that had ever come across the Marvel bullpen that he'd ever read. One of the best pitches that they'd ever seen come in. And he said, we're going to bring it up at the Marvel creative meeting. They would do this thing where they would go out and everybody would meet, and it would be this big creative thing at some resort or something like that. And he said they were going to bring it up then. Well, when they brought it up then, this guy Victor Gischler, another writer, had already been promised a couple months earlier Blade, and to do this thing with Blade in the X-Men books. Dudes, I fucking sent this pitch to them 8 or 9 months earlier. So I would have been first to the plate, and I had pitched Blade because they weren't doing anything with him, and he was fucking popular, and it was a clear and present danger that they could turn him into a success at Marvel the same way he was a success in the films. And my whole fucking pitch was absolutely laying out how you do that, how you make him Marvel's vampire Batman, which is what he was in the films. And I had to give him a different Whistler, because Whistler was owned by Miramax, or was it, New Line. So I created this character named Hummer. I think I did a whole episode on my Blade script that you can find. If you go type in Blade with this thing, the episode will come up where I get into detail about it if you want to. But needless to say, I was fucking devastated. Here I am again. I'm told it's the best pitch that they've ever had fucking come through the door as far as he's concerned. This high up editor who's worked on a lot of stuff. And then my pitch isn't going anywhere because it's already been taken. Like it's off the fucking the table. And I should have pitched him something else. I should have went back there, but I would take these rejections so hard. And also by that time, I was getting offered to do some work at DC. And this kind of just ended up happening with my career. I just kind of bounced around from thing to thing. I did a Batman one shot at DC. It never came out. It was drawn. It's awesome. It's a Batman April Fool's Day special. I wrote it there's no way this will never come out. It's an April Fool's Day special. They can put it out at any time. It was drawn. I'm like, it's definitely going to come out. It is still lost somewhere in the fucking computer at DC Comics. It's crazy that this is this world that I live in, where a fully drawn Batman comic that I made that is really genuinely good, and I don't even have it anymore. I had the art, and I don't even have the fucking art anymore. It's such a bummer. And then I did Dead Romeo, and they fucking stripped my freaking outline for that thing 3 times. They loved it, but can you cut out all of the original DC characters that were in there, like Lobo and Jonah Hex, and I had all these guys coming back from the dead. It was really great, and it was a play on Dante's Inferno and the 9 Circles of Hell. And then the second round of notes, they made me take out all the Dante's Inferno references after promising me that I could use the Dante's Inferno thing with Lobo in a Lobo miniseries. This was at the time where the Scott Ian from Anthrax was doing the Lobo miniseries. He was like, I think you'd be a good person to follow up after Scott Ian has done Lobo. Now we bring in Jesse Blaze Snyder, and this is really great. Let's do it for that. So I stripped it. And what ended up becoming Dead Romeo, my thing, which I created for them, it was it was a bummer. It was not a fraction of what I had originally come up with, which was meant to fucking turn heads and show people who read DC Comics that, like, there's a new sheriff in town and I know how to do this shit. I really, that was like, I got a mini series. I'm doing this shit, And then what ended up coming out is fun. It's okay. It's action packed. That was part of my thing for the book. I really wanted it to just really move and like I wanted it to be great, but like brisk and, but with enough going on and enough clever ideas that you were just captivated and you're like, oh, let me get another one. Let me get another dose of that. And it's definitely not as powerful and strong as what I would have done. And, to say that was fucking devastating. And over at freaking Boom, and getting my fucking page rate slashed in half, even though they were having a massive success with my fucking book and everybody loved it. Having the fucking licensing department come down on me, and I had to freaking rewrite from a children's book that they had released, a Toy Story children's book. I had to base my story on these fucking asinine stories because they had been approved, and we needed something that was approved, and we didn't have time to get approvals for any of my stories. And currently the stories that I had pitched weren't approved, basically because they were too big, because I was doing things that were like sort of like, they were like, can they do that? It's so funny because they did half of the things that I pitched in Toy Story 3 and now Toy Story 4 and now Toy Story 5 is literally based on what would have been my second story arc in Toy Story. Not that literally is not the right word. Is basically based. It was an arc called Toy versus Machine, and I got stopped in the middle of my Toy versus Machine arc. I was 2 issues into the 4. My first issue was all about Ham being filled up with money, and his mom, Andy's mom, telling him to crack open the bank and giving him a hammer, and him like freaking out. But Andy in the end decides to just like, because he's wedged, he can't get the cork out, so Andy ends up breaking apart the cork and like getting it out, getting him a new cork, all this stuff. And it's a sweet little story that leads into him buying a video game system. And oh man, it was a great one. I was so fucking excited about that. I wrote the first issue, and then I got the bad news that I had to scrap them. The only good news was that I got paid twice for those scripts, so that was good. But it was a fucking nightmare, man. And so many of these things from book to book to book, and like, why didn't anybody know Mark Andreyko and still, Andreyko and Keith Champagne and Will Pfeiffer? Because this industry isn't like designed to help people. It's not designed to lift people up. And, it's like when we have nice things, it's so often an accident. And then when attention is put on something because it's a success, most of the time, these people squander that success. They squeeze its fucking neck, and just like it's like the more eyes, the more people are like focused upon a thing, the more overthinking happens with it, and these things just kind of fall apart. So, my whole career, and I'll say this in music too, because in music, I have spent my music career meeting some of the most talented people on planet Earth who have nothing, and nobody would know their name or anything about them if I brought them up to you right now. But they're incredible. And every time I meet one of those people, I go, when I make it, I'm coming back for him. When I make it, I'm doubling back to grab her. When I make it, this person's going to make it too. If I deserve to make it, they deserve to make it. And even though this world that I live in doesn't seem to care too much about justice, I do. And when I get justice for myself, I'm going to get justice for them. I feel the exact same way about comic books, films, TV. There are so many brilliant people in this world who I personally know, who I do not feel have justice for how fucking wonderful and talented they are. Easily, I personally know 100 of them. And I am going to make sure that one day you get to read their work, you get to see their art, you get to hold their sculpts, you get to enjoy their film. You get to hear their song be played. I'm a fan of The Muppet Show because I want to be Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog knew that all of these people had something to offer, and they deserved a chance to be heard. The injustice in this world when it comes to talent is so great because ego rules the planet Earth. I really enjoyed talking about In Living Color. I did a really nice long episode on there, and I was talking in there about the Wayans family and how fucking rare it is to have a group of people actively pushing other people out into the world that could potentially eclipse them. On Keenen Ivory Wayans' show, he has his brother, Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans is funnier than Keenen. I love Keenen. And I love Keenen even fucking more because he was willing to be outshined by his own brother. To risk it with his sister. His sister's very funny as well. But Damon is somebody that if Keenen was a egotistical guy, he never would have freaking had this dude near him. But he grew up with this dude. So it was a little easier. And they came from a family where there was a lot of people, and they were all funny, and they were all getting in on the joke. They were having a great time together. So they learned, they got the beautiful gift of learning that we're better together. We're better when other people get to shine. And because of that, you got Jim Carrey on that show. You got David Alan Grier on that show. You got Tommy Davidson on that show. Those motherfuckers were all capable of stealing the light off of any of them. And even more so, Jamie Foxx, who's another Jim Carrey as far as I'm concerned. Jamie is a fucking triple threat. He can do everything. And he's fucking handsome, man. He's a really good looking dude. The intimidation factor. No intimidation for In Living Color. They got the people who a lot of these casting directors or producers would have gone, no. Will Smith kicked fucking the resident alien guy who I love, Tudyk, Alan Tudyk. He kicked him off the fucking promotional tour. Not like kicked him like visibly. Quietly, he didn't go on the promotional tour at all after Will Smith found out that Alan Tudyk's robot character was testing better in the audience screenings than his character. People liked the robot better than him. So all of a sudden, Alan Tudyk wasn't on the promo tour. This is the world that I no longer want to live in. I don't want to live in this world where we can't have nice things because to progress would be to hurt the pride of somebody else. Fuck all the pride. Fuck their pride. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And I hope that you let yours too. And more so than that, with my little light, I am going to light up some other motherfuckers because that's what you do with a light. Beam, beam, beam. This show, me making this show, this was always about me being able to shine a light on the things that I fucking love and exactly what I saw as the problems of what has been going on in the mainstream in our entertainment. You know, I've often said that if you handed me all of these fucking DEI or whatever you want to call it, sort of sort of mandates that have been coming around on our entertainment over the past bunch of years, that I could have taken it and done a good job with what they wanted, but because they've been bringing in people who are not good at the job of writing, they're getting people who are ideologues. They're concerned they're concerned for what they're making has a limited capacity. Sorry. Hey, baby, I'm doing my podcast. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll call you later. Bye-bye. Okay. So, sorry, I don't know if you guys think it's annoying when I kind of like it when my babies call me and I have to get a thing. So I don't like get super concerned. And usually it doesn't actually like happen. And most of the time my phone's on fucking vibrate. If that annoys you somebody could write me a letter or whatever and tell me, but I don't know. For me, I kind of think it's charming. And it, like when I listen to the episodes and like they called me while I was doing my show, like I'm always like, I don't know, it makes me happy. So I need the shared culture. I need it in my life because I love it. And if the world that created that shared culture is going to fall apart on us by trying to fucking lecture the audience about how it should feel about every fucking little thing, and not even in an artistic way, well then we need a new shared culture. And my hope for this show has always been to create that. I'm very audience-minded. I always cared about what the audience thought, because at the end of the day, I just saw that, like, well, this isn't about you, whatever you're making, like, it's really about other people. So I've always paid attention to what the general audience has to say. And you know, who is the general? Well, the general audience is just sort of like the median, you know? What's the general feeling? Does there seem to be an overwhelming feeling that like Rey isn't the greatest character who's ever been introduced into Star Wars, and maybe she hasn't had to be put through enough paces in the story to endear her to the audience by, you know, really working hard to be the thing that we're going to try to make her into? Yeah, that's fair. You know, to be able to look at the whole picture and go like, well, what do people really like? You know, my dad, his song "We're Not Gonna Take It" and his song "I Wanna Rock," two songs. You know, in America, they're basically known from their genre. They're basically known for three songs. Even though if you go abroad, they're known for like 5 songs, maybe even more than that. With "I Am I Me" and "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll" and "We're Gonna Make It," which I think was a single, but not on Top of the Pops. But Top of the Pops, they had "I Am On Me," and they had "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll." So in Europe, they were like considered a bigger band. In America, they are just known for "We're Not Gonna Take It" and "I Wanna Rock," really. And because they're known for that over there, they're known, that's like the focus of everything. But all around the world, "I Wanna Rock" and "We're Not Gonna Take It" are played in stadiums. Sports stadiums, soccer stadiums, and football stadiums, and baseball stadiums. "I Wanna Rock," "We're Not Gonna Take It." They get played all the time. And it's because they're one of these songs that are very unifying, very rallying. Everybody enjoys them. Really good for the space. It's very triumphant. It has an energy. So I've been getting free tickets to sporting events like my whole life with my family. When I was a little kid, we'd get invited to go to various games. Because my dad was the guy, and like when they played the song, they go, "Oh, Dee Snider's here tonight," you know, whatever. And in doing so, I started to study the songs that were played when I was at an arena. You know, like what was being played on the radio at a basketball game and at a football. You know, basketball is a little bit different because it tends to be like a hip hop influence, but even there, "I Wanna Rock," "We're Not Gonna Take It," and lots of these heavy metal and rock songs will get played, but they're very specific types. They're these really rousing, empowering, energy-charged sort of songs. You know, what you call an anthem or whatever. But, there's like laments, and then there's hymns. You know, there's a better word for this word, but like "O Come, O Ye Faithful," and the Hallelujah Chorus. There are these sort of just rousing, uplifting vibe lifters. And those songs are universal. Universal to all people, all walks of life. It doesn't matter that it's heavy metal. Your grandma will enjoy it too. And that's the kind of music and comic books that I like to make. I like to see a crowd happy. So I've been studying the audience my whole life. And I think that because I do that, I'm also pretty good in terms of like, I've got good taste. You know, I like being somebody who could recommend some things to you and have you go, oh, that was great. Like I just recommended Rogue to my mom and dad as well directly, and they loved it. You know, like I believe in my taste. You know, which got confirmed when I did I was music consultant on the Strangeland soundtrack, Dee Snider's Strangeland, my dad's horror movie that he made. If you've never seen it, whatever. 90s heavy metal or like early 2000s, something like that. No, and like 90s heavy metal soundtrack, and I chose almost all the songs on the soundtrack, and it is a very popular soundtrack. Like from that time, it sold very well. Like financially, it did really well, and people love it. Like people rave about that soundtrack, and that was me. I picked all that stuff, and you know, I don't know if I necessarily thought like, oh, I have good taste at that time like that, but that kind of like proved to me that like I wasn't crazy. You know, if I was like vibing with something and recommending, like I just brought a whole bunch of things to my brother. He and I were working out the other day, and he played me a bunch of things. And after, he just had his playlist on, but I heard a bunch of things on it that reminded me of two artists that I really like. There was some songs that I love, and I went, ooh, let me play these for him. I think he's going to love them. And sure enough, every song he would go over to his phone, and then he programmed it onto his phone. He loved them all. So I love that. I love the monoculture. I love sharing this shit. You know, I'm back to sharing music again. And I didn't finish saying I'm going to, the AI algorithms told me that if I put in, if I did another episode of All Your Favorite Bands Suck, and if I could just like commit to doing one like every quarter, I'm thinking I might do one every month. And my first one's gonna be on the Black Keys, and I don't know when I'm gonna be able to record it. Probably next week. But I gotta listen to a lot of Black Keys to refresh myself with all this stuff, because there's a few albums that I haven't listened to, and they actually have a new album too that I didn't listen to. But doing the music and sharing all these things, like half of these albums, like I went and was talking to my dad about them afterwards. I was like, you know what I shared on my show? I did Lemonade and Brownies from Sugar Ray, Local H, Here Comes the Zoo. My dad told me a story about meeting the drummer from Local H who was playing with him at the time, which I told the story on the Local H episode about this fucking dude. He's just this huge black guy, really dark skin, but like ripped. And I was on the side of the stage. He pounds this fucking drum set like crazy. And he came up to him at a convention with his son, and and he's like, I don't know if you remember me. And my dad went, holy shit, do I remember you? You were fucking incredible. And he turned to the son and he was like, your dad is one of the most badass drummers I've ever seen play. And like, kid was all proud of his dad. I liked hearing that story. So anyway, I mean, like, I get so much genuine joy out of all this stuff. You know, my list, it just keeps growing. Every time I make my list, like it's like I'm making like this little menu of like 5 wonderful things that I'm recommending. And every week when I see it, I go, oh man, I'm recommending such great stuff. And after I finished my first month, I was like, oh man, I've recommended so much great stuff. Because like it would annoy me sometimes that I would do like one movie. I used to do was one movie on Saturday, or one recommendation on Saturday, usually a movie or TV show or whatever. And I was always like, my list would be building up because I watched so much, and like I was just like, I'm never gonna run out, but it was like silly, like because it felt like I kind of wanted to reveal so many, and then sometimes that would lead to me going, all right, well I'm just gonna do a fucking 13 scariest movies I've ever seen, or whatever. Like I'm thinking I might actually do a week of like all my favorite animal attack movies. I might actually do it next week, just like without telling anybody, just do all animal attack movies, even though I do have a schedule for what I've got right now. And like, I don't want to break my schedule because I love this shit. But so genuinely, I'm so passionate about these things. I love great entertainment, and being able to do this and being able to like see the scope of all this stuff, it's really revived me. and like, so my upgrade for the show, to going up to 6 days a week and 7 days a week now with everything they don't want you to know on Sunday, but 6 full days of this, it's been wonderful for me. And in a time where I've been really sick and like out of it, I have been engaged, and slowly but surely, I believe, because of the engagement with this show and doing that, and thank you for that, because like, the success of the show, what I thought it was before, has led to me continuing to, to pursue it and try and build a platform for myself. And you guys have helped me do that, from the beginning. And because I thought, well, people are liking the stuff, and like, let me just give them that much more. That became the thing of like, especially too, because I know, most people aren't going to listen to this whole show right here. Some of the people who really love me and are engaged with it, you will. I mean, and even though it actually seems like I got a much bigger number of that than I could have ever imagined, my listener retention rate is 57% for Coolest Alive. 57%. It's a little lower on Everything You Don't Want You to Know and All Your Favorite Bands Suck. And All Your Favorite Bands Suck, I expect that, because like like some people aren't going to like some of the bands. Some people, are going to be like, awesome, great, I'm going to go start with this album and like on with the show. So I get that. And Everything They Don't Want You to Know, some of the subjects are, like, this is too much for me, or I don't know, whatever. So like I get it. But 57%, and I mean, our listener retention rate on there isn't bad. We're like in the 30s for both of them. And like all told, like all these shows, it's like 45. I don't remember the exact number for that. I haven't gotten there. I'm making a deck, but I haven't finished getting there. But 57%, and it's like 57 point something for Coolest Alive. Respect, guys. Fucking respect. It's so crazy. My Christmas episode, which was literally just me coming on to the show and saying Merry Christmas to everybody and playing my Christmas songs, it's like a 10-minute episode or whatever, but it's just me saying Merry Christmas. It doesn't say that I'm talking about a movie, and I don't. Like, I mean, I think I probably mentioned a couple things because I love you guys, and that's what I do. Like when I'm doing a show, like at different times, like I'm sure there's some people out there who's going, don't mention that movie right now because like, then they know that you like it and they don't have to watch the show. But I'm just always kind of like, oh yeah, like I just want to kind of throw out as many great things as I can, because then, if you just grab one and you hear it, like, you don't gotta fucking listen to every show. I hope you'll listen. You will listen to the show because you like hearing me chat and like hearing what I have to say about the things, or want to see what I have to say. But if you don't need to, like, you're not. I'm not forcing you guys here. I'm not trying to fucking trick you. I don't care. I really genuinely just like whatever's natural. I want whatever's natural to be the thing. I want everybody to feel like they're doing shit because they want to do it. Yeah. So that's awesome. The fact that so much is being listened to, and that there will probably be a lot of people who listen through to this. My episode 200, and I don't know how much I talked about it on episode 200, but it's episode 200, The Signal Fire. We had 300 and something thousand listens in the past 30 days. And that was me celebrating 200 episodes, but there's nothing, there's no specific topic. And specifically, it was me, asking you guys to spread the word about me and the show. And I think maybe you did, because we've grown a lot since then. And I'm going to continue to tell you, but, the Signal Fire was, me just saying that, like, we fucking deserve better entertainment, and we deserve to not lose our shared culture. That was definitely, part of that conversation. And, that we need to rebuild it, and we need to, have more elegant conversations about all of this shit, so it doesn't turn into a shit throwing, fight, where we're just like fucking lambasting each other and not listening to what the other people have to say. It's just, it could be a wonderful world. if we all just start to get a little bit deeper and a little bit less triggered and a little bit more open to boldly going where no one ever has before and having these conversations that can often be really hard for people. Now, I'll stop, pussyfooting around, but in the past 30 days, between my 3 podcasts, this Coolest Alive, which is now 6 days a week, and All Your Favorite Bands Suck, which I haven't done an episode in a year, and Everything They Don't Want You to Know, which is once a week, but actually it has a little bit of a spotty schedule, sometimes because of me and sometimes because the podcast Playground will forget to put up an episode because I've been a little spotty, and occasionally I'll just send it at the wrong time. So all that into consideration, we've gotten 1.3 million downloads. Well over 1.3 million downloads. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And it's unique listeners. I mean, just so many people listen to our shows. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much. That number is insane. And I didn't even know, like, I've been in this weird position where, we make a little bit of money from the show every week. Like that's the money that, pays my bills. But it's like usually less than $2,000 on my end of like what I get. But that usually means that we made at least 4. And then usually there's like some expenses or whatever. Like this is like, how these podcasts, things work. Because you're getting paid for like how many views, and they slip in different commercials into your thing depending on like what platform you're on. So we're doing well. We make money on the podcast, but I mean, not enough to like, have your life revolve around it, and it does. But there are other things that I do as well to generate money. So like, it's okay. That doesn't have to be the only thing in my reality. And my hope from the very beginning of this thing has just been to build a platform myself so that I have the opportunity to tell people when I'm putting out music on my own. I made music. Please check it out. I'd appreciate it. I made a comic book. Please check it out. I'd appreciate it. I just want that. That's it. Like I just went, instead of me, because you kind of have to put yourself out there anyway on social media and all this stuff. And I fucking hate social media, but I love this. I love long form conversations. I can like gush about something that I love. Fucking A, that's awesome. That would be amazing. Like I looked at like Joe Rogan just like as really like sort of my inspiration. Because I really like Joe, and I really appreciate what he did for the culture. He opened the culture to a lot of conversations that they were not willing to have at the time. And long term, Joe has been proven right on a lot of fucking subject matters, a lot. And just the fact that we're being able to open up the conversation to things like psychedelic plant medicine, or aliens, or alternate history, and fucking Machu Picchu, and all these other places that deserve more exploration and better understanding of what was really going on there. I love that. And I went, I could do the same thing. I could do that for the culture. He's a part of like the man culture kind of thing. He likes fighting and some of these things. But I'm the other side of it. Like I am a sportsman. I like to play sports, but I hate talking about sports. Like I like boxing and shit like that. I play football and fighting, whatever, but I don't really like talking about it at all. For the most part, I might cover a fighter. There's a couple things that I might cover actually in that realm one day within this thing, because like things that I think intellectual people would appreciate. Because I love sports movies and I enjoy playing sports. But I just think that I'm like the geeky, nerdy version of a Joe Rogan, and I've kind of just leaned into more of the stuff that you do behind closed doors, reading books with a night lamp, and getting into Lord of the Rings and shit like that. These are the things that I've done, and I said, wouldn't it be amazing to go into that space and be that sort of person who could help open up the conversation to things that other people aren't having conversations with. Now, I'm kind of a shitty interview. Well, I'm not. I'm a shitty interviewer in podcast form because it's just too unwieldy, and I get too excited and I'm too passionate, and I end up like accidentally monopolizing the conversation, and I end up in my head a lot because I don't like to like talk over people or be not nice. I try to be really nice, but a lot of times I'll hear that like I spoke too much or it was imbalanced. So I chose to do this show just me talking by myself, because then there was nobody's feet that I was going to step on. I wasn't going to hurt anybody's feelings or anything. And I knew that I had enough to say about all these things that like I could give you a full meal's worth of, the podcast experience or whatever it is. And, I thought, look at this platform that he has. Like literally people clamor to go on his show because what it'll do for their career. Now, that hasn't been the case exactly anymore. Like it's not like people are like overnight success sensations on Rogan anymore. Though granted, it was just so influential to the culture for a moment that the follower people in the culture were very, anything he says, I'll go. And then what happened was the culture got a little murky about Joe Rogan, and all of those followers kind of fell off and got like a little, like as soon as the system started going, he's a kook who's giving you false information. Nah, man, he's just a guy who having conversations that he thinks are interesting with people that he thinks is interesting. It's this whole fucking, you're so irresponsible. No, it's irresponsible to not have conversations with these things. And he's having long fucking conversations. And that's the thing. I mean, that's really why I don't get in trouble on here, because if you listen to me at length, you see Jesse means no fucking harm to anybody. He's having conversations. He wants to talk about some of these things. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are thinking this way and that way, and he's trying to see if we can get somewhere towards the middle, right? And I believe, Joe is that kind of person as well. And if anybody who's listened to him more deeply, that's pretty much what you come away with, feeling about him. But that idea of a platform, because like everybody, like, oh my God, the fucking industry and like they just what's your platform? How many millions or billions of people do you have on social media right now? Do you like it's and meanwhile though, it means nothing. Like how many of you guys are out there trying to use your social media to like get attention on a friend's project? How many people are seeing it? I had like the most shares that I've ever had on like a post. It was like, it was crazy. It was like 300 fucking shares or something. And I went like to look through, like you follow through the share. And every single one of them, it went to like an empty room where there was no sound. There was like 3 of them that had a few likes and 1 of them that had a comment. We are sharing to nowhere. The only time anything goes anywhere is if you put money into the system. Anybody that you see who is having any success and you see like their thing is like popping up places, it's money. And make no mistake, my show has had the ability to be successful beyond anything that I might be contributing because we've been advertised. I had a little podcast that I was doing with my friend Michael Zinn called The Live Stream of Consciousness, which is actually now on the podcast playground. And I think they're doing all right. They've been building their episode. Check out The Live Stream of Consciousness if you're into lots of personal stories of people's journey to spirituality, basically, or awakenings of various kinds. Michael still does the show; it's a great show, and but we didn't have anybody really watching. Michael was doing it for a very long time, and we still, we had a dedicated group of people who would watch, but it was really a small audience, and it wasn't going anywhere. However, when I got Michael recommended over to the podcast playground and they brought him in, and now a little bit of money has been going into advertising his show, and the show is being able to build and it's being able to make a little bit of a profit and actually do something. Most people don't have this. Most people aren't putting money into the system and getting propagated by it. The reason why our show has been able to get any sort of a foothold in this reality is because we have been doing it in a way that actually ensures that will happen in this system, putting money into the system. Now, granted, for me, I got to bypass this a little bit by, Gentry, who owns the podcast playground. He had figured out how to do this stuff for himself, and he was trying to build a whole podcast network. Let me bring in a whole bunch of other people, and I'll do the hard work part for you guys that like tends to not come naturally to all these hosts. You guys do what you do. You talk, you do the show, and then I'll make sure it's advertised. I'll get it out there, and we split the stuff 50-50, which I love. That's how it's done. You know, a nice business. You do your job, I do my job. We split it 50-50, and I'm very happy with that. You know, so we've had a nice working relationship, and the show's been able to build for a while. Now, the last time I checked my numbers, and this is kind of a funny like story of like what happened to me on Monday. The last time I checked my numbers, they were somewhere at like 733,000, I think, total for all three shows. And it was a bummer because like right after this, like Everything They Don't Want You to Know had just started, and All Your Favorite Bands Suck would end around that time. I was very surprised how great All Your Favorite Bands Suck was doing, and it was like 300 and something thousand listeners, like the downloads at that time, which was like seemed kind of out of the blue, like because I had only been doing it for like a less than a year. I guess when I had looked at that, it was probably like halfway through the show. Maybe I was in like episode 25 or something like that. So that was the last time I saw it. But at a certain period of time, my brother Cody began to sort of like question my numbers because he's got a podcast. My brother's got a great podcast with his girlfriend. It's called Acid for Squares. You can actually see theirs like on YouTube and stuff. They've got visual components to go for it. It's brilliant, beautiful, really, really well done. Whereas this podcast is just like really intimate. You know, it's me getting on wherever I am and just gushing about some stuff that you love. And, if somebody calls me on the phone, I'll just pick it up and I'll just say, hey, can I call you back? Theirs is as pro as you fucking go. And like, this is really the choice. I choose to do it like this, where it's a little messy so that it's fun. And I think it's more relaxed for all of us. I hope, because it helps me to be more relaxed. And I believe like the podcasts that I like the best are the ones that feel relaxed. So, this is my method. But Cody and Tanya, man, they put together a great show, and Acid for Squares is constantly having on just the best experts, on psychedelic medicine, plant medicine, on new sorts of medical treatments, and sort of meditation and yoga, and like shit that is like all new worldy, but aliens and Bigfoot and like cool shit like that. And it's like the most respectable type people you can talk to about these things, who really can talk about it at a really high level. I like to say that it's one of those shows that is a great show to watch if you like, if you're into that sort of information and want to have an easier time convincing the people around you that there is some advocacy to what you're talking about, what you're interested in, because the guests and the types of stuff that they focus on, it's all about being as credible as they can be and not opening themselves up to a lot of questions. It's kind of safe, their approach. Like compared to Everything They Don't Want You to Know, my show is very not safe. Like I'm saying things and talking about things that the dome we were talking about earlier. Like it's like fucking most people would be like, Jesse, don't just. I know you've seen it, but this is the difference in a great way. They are a fabulous gateway drug to people opening their minds a little bit to some of the crazy things that are going on in this world. So anyway, Cody's show is in the top 1% of podcasts. It has blown up within its space. It is doing amazing, and I. Cody kept kind of basically telling me that he thought like I should have more, that I should be making more money, or he thought whatever. And Gentry's cool, like everything's above board and really good. But I was getting confused about my numbers, and like I didn't really like I get weird about stuff like that. Like I can like obsess about something like numbers in particular, and I really kind of took I decided to not leave that tab open on my computer. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I could leave a tab open on my computer. There are my numbers, and every day I could check, what are my numbers? What am I doing? I decided not to do that because I thought, like, that's not what it's about. And, like, numbers would be great, but I want numbers because I'm delivering something that's good, and, like, it's a good product that people appreciate. And, I want an audience that respects me and respects what I have to say. So I don't want to be like obsessed with these numbers. Then when my brother started kind of questioning the numbers, He was like, I feel like you like those numbers are really crazy. Like I kind of find them hard to believe on like a couple things because I wasn't making more money through a couple different avenues, like through ads and different things like that. Well, suffice to say, when I did my switch over for my now 6 days a week Coolest Alive, I decided that I wanted to go jump on and take a look at those numbers after I got through like a month, so that I could compare month to month. I wanted to see like, did it do anything? Like did it significantly increase our listenership? Did it significantly increase the time spent listening? And that was like one of the main things. Like, and again, ours is really good. I wasn't reading this thing properly the first like time I did it, and my ADHD autistic brain, I was like, you need to like get out of these numbers, honestly, because like just even going through it that day, like it was really like in depth, and there's so much you could obsess over. And I just kind of went, all right, it looks like we're doing good. That's good. Let me just be happy that we're doing good, and like I'm getting out of here. And I'll base how good I'm doing on like how much money I get paid. Like, if it increase, as it increases, I'll know I'm doing great. And it hasn't exactly increased, like a little bit. But like mostly I've kind of hovered around like a similar kind of area. But there's a lot of factors in there of like how much we're spending on advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So, when I came out here and I got onto the computer, I could not figure out how to do a comparison. I still haven't actually been able to figure out how to do a comparison. And then some of the numbers that like I noticed immediately was actually for like the new episodes, like for this month of like all these extra episodes that we did or whatever, that like the numbers didn't actually seem very good, which later I would find out that I did a very good thing, but with everybody, for some reason, there always seems to be an immediate decline on average per show. But then like apparently there's supposed to be this like big boom that I'm going to expect shortly because of like the way these things show up in the algorithms, and it's really positive. These are some of the things that I don't understand exactly. But I was struggling with it. I wasn't figuring out exactly where we're at. I actually thought that our numbers for the past 30 days was 844,000, which I was happy with because that was 100,000 more than it was last time. Granted, would I have liked it to have grown more than 100,000? Sure. But that was progress. It was 700. The money I was making hadn't really changed very much. So I was like, okay, so this like seems okay. That it's 700 that is 100,000 more or whatever. But when I brought it in to my brother to ask him if he could look at the back end with me and kind of go over it, he put all my shows up at the same time. And I didn't realize that I had not looked. I thought I had looked at them all at the same time, and my number was 844. And when he put it all up and I saw it was 1.3 million, I literally went, what? And my brother got like a little mad at me for a second because he was like, Jesse, these are insane numbers. And he very sweetly, he said, I'm so sorry that I was like questioning what you were saying, because I kept saying to him, I was like, look, I don't really know what I'm talking about exactly, but I was just reading you the numbers that it says there. I don't know exactly what they mean. I try to stay away from that kind of thing because it's just like, that's not my job. My job is to make a show and hopefully you guys like it. But that wasn't my job. And he just kind of went, Jesse, this is insane. These are insane numbers. Your listener retention is great. Your audience is largely American. We are 99% American, guys. Talking about the monoculture. Isn't that cool? Like, I thought that was so cool because I want to bring back a monoculture, and there's plenty of reasons why maybe people all over the world would be listening or whatever, and there are some people all over the world who are listening, but I mean it's like 40 people from Nicaragua or whatever else, and it's 1.3 million from fucking America. 99%, 99 and a bunch of percent is how many people are American. So, fuck yeah, guys. We are, my audience, we're a little monoculture. 1.3 million of us. 1.3 million monoculture. And like maybe I'm like I coined that as a term. You know, this is the coolest alive. And there are 1.3 million of us, and we represent a monoculture of love for film and animation and comic books and fucking video games and toys and music. And I fucking love this. I'm just so excited that what I wanted to do, it's happening. I'm making it. You know, I didn't, did I say that 200th episode, you know, was just me talking about all this like similar stuff or whatever? 300 and fucking something thousand downloads in 30 days. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with any of the things. You guys are my tribe. You're a part of my tribe, and you're listening to the show. I love you. I'm so fucking grateful. And I wanted to talk to you today, and like this is really going to be like the last part of this whole conversation about what I'm going to do with this success that you guys are giving me. Because my brother Cody, he said that my fucking ads on my show, like to sponsor the show, were worth $30,000 a month. You don't understand, guys. Since my divorce and stuff, I have been struggling to take care of myself for the better part of 8 years. It's been really hard. And this has been this one thing that I've been building and working on along with the Kickstarters and so many different things to change my life and take me out of what has been fucking poverty. I really, you know, I don't eat a lot because it's just easier for me to not eat. And then that's like one less expense that I have. I mean, like, you know, got to feel bad about that because that's like a choice that I'm like, okay, this is a way I can save money and whatnot. But I have been living with less. Because, you know, I have kids and now there's like 2 houses and, you know, it's like, it's more expensive when you get divorced and it's been hard. You have no idea what fucking $30,000 a month is going to do for me. When fucking I put it into the grok and I said, my brother's saying some wild things. And, you know, he had the AI pull up all these things and he says that my like sponsorship money like that, I'm worth $30K a month. Fucking grok said, that's a conservative estimate. I'm floored. Floored, man. I've been a success this whole time. I knew we were doing okay. But this show is a massive success. And I want you to know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to take this money and I am going to spoil the fuck out of my 4 kids. No, I'm just kidding. For Christmas anyway. Yeah, I am. I haven't been able to spoil my kids in Christmas for a very long time. This year I'm going to. I'm going to do Christmas more like I did Christmas previous years when I used to enjoy Christmas. Christmas used to be my favorite holiday. And then one day after 2008, every time Christmas would come around, I would think, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. This year, my son Grayson, he's been so happy, so excited for Christmas. And he's making me excited. And a few days after he started making me excited about all these gifts, I found out that my fucking podcast is doing gangbusters. And that I'm going to be able to sell enough ads to feed myself whatever the fuck I want to eat every night for the foreseeable future, to know that my kids are taken care of, to catch up on every fucking bill that I've been behind on or evading or whatever it is, and then to start changing the world. This means more music in healing capacities. This means touring, helping being able to afford to demo this thing or demo that thing. You know, it costs money to make music and it costs money to make comic books. Everything costs money, and especially it costs money to promote it. And I'm going to take some of this and it's going to go into the promotion of the things that I am doing. And the things that I am doing are designed to start by benefiting me and helping me to get my fucking work out into the world in a more meaningful way, and then to expand to help other people. I told you, I'm going to go back for those musicians. I'm fucking coming for you, Andy Sanchez. I'm fucking coming for you, Lucas Banker. I am coming. There are a lot of people out there who deserve support, and this system just isn't designed to do that. I am. I'm designed to do that. I got a nice, consistent bed of money coming in from my podcast and our advertisers and our wonderful listeners. You know what I'm going to do. After my people are safe and I feel safe, it's time to add a few more chairs to this table. Blacklight District Studios produces boutique music and comic books. And I don't want it to just be all Jesse Blaze music. I want to hear from some of my favorite creative people who are not getting the support that they deserve. This magazine, Sugar and Bones, which is going to be our next campaign on Kickstarter. And by the way, if you go to blacklightdistrict.studio right now, you can get in late to order the Solfeggio Transmissions Volume 1 collectible version of the album. Of course, you can listen to it wherever you listen to music, Jesse Blaze, and you'll find it. It's all healing frequencies, 432, and the Solfeggio scale. It's really great stuff. Some of the most beautiful songs I've ever written, and I made it using AI to put it into all of these healing frequencies. I had made it for myself, and then I decided to share it because I was getting a lot of benefit from it, and I think you will get some benefit too. The healing, the frequency music that I'm doing right now using the AI is next level, and the next thing that I do is going to be really fucking neat because it's complex, but they're coming out amazing. You really feel them. Very excited about that. So if you want to get in on that, be a part of that. This is like they're going to be printed in very limited capacity. I mean, if we ever go back and reprint, we're only going to do up to 1,000. That's the limit that we had. But I mean, right now we might not ever go back and reprint it. It might just be probably this 100 that I'm printing because it's a very small. We from a small group of people, we raised almost $6,000. And thank you guys so much for all of those, our producers and all the people who got in on it, and really means so much to me, especially because I could not promote this thing. I just was not able to really get the word out to that many people, but the people that we did get the word out to, they came correct and they helped us out big time. So thank you so much. And yeah, you probably have another week or two because I am finally getting close to figuring out how to do all this stuff. So get in there. And actually, you know what? I hate saying this week or two thing because as I think about it, I'm like, am I lying? Am I going to need more time than a fucking week or two? Because I still got to make the fucking thing. And then technically speaking, I won't turn it off until I'm literally going to print. Okay. You got a little bit of time. I honestly don't know how much time it's going to be, but just at a certain period of time, I'm going to have it all in and I'm going to have to go, okay, yep, this is it. This is the finished thing. And we're doing this number. And that's when I'm going to need all the final orders. So yeah, you got a couple weeks. Anyway, that's just with the music. The next piece of this is the comic books. And God damn it. I already mentioned Mark Andraco and Keith Champagne and so many fucking brilliant people. I have plans. My comic book company, there's a lot of things that I'd like to do, starting with the magazine and some of these independent things. But the magazine, is to help Steve Kurth and Digger Mesh, Aaron Sparrow, Renzo Rodriguez, so many of these people who are just massive talents that I have in my life. Just brilliant creative people. There's so many that I know and so many that, I don't know yet, but I know they're out there. One of our cover artists is this artist, Lydia Buress. She is so damn talented. When I got turned on to her artwork just a year ago from my friend David Alusik, who sometimes does some promotion for this show, if you recognize that name, he it kind of blew my mind. I went through 5 or 6 years of her work on her portfolio page, and after the 6th page, I was ashamed. I was like, how do I not know this person? Her art is incredible. She should be a name that I utter when I'm talking about some of my favorite artists. How creative, how brilliant, how textured, how neat. Her shit is just next level and memorable and cool and so many so many things to say about it. Like, she's not just, great. She's fucking great. Wow. She's a wow, kind of artist. And I never heard of her. And I told her, I said, Lydia, I said, I don't mean to like lump myself into your brilliance, but, when I see somebody like you, it just ties me into my heart and how heartbroken I am being somebody that I think is really working at an exceptional level and trying to deliver the goods every time. And I think that I do manage to do that. And at the same time, I have not been able to get the recognition that I believe I deserve for, for the level of artistry that I bring to the things I do. I like to say, I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do is pretty. And so is Lydia. Amazing. And she was super, her and I bonded, like, she was like, oh my God, like, I really thank you so much for saying that. And I appreciate that so much. And anybody like me, any of us artists, like, there are so many wonderful people out there in the world. And that's why this next step of the way, this next step of this monoculture that we're creating, it's gotta be this thing where when we find a wonderful thing, we lift it up and we show the world. Sugar and Bones magazine is a magazine version of this show, ultimately. It's me, we'll have the movie section, and we'll have the comics section, and we'll have comics in it, and maybe poems, and we'll have some fucking pictures of photo arrays of like cool kind of science fiction-y or like fantasy or whatever kind of like cosplay type stuff, but like cool, stylized and neat. Like I want this to be this monoculture magazine where we all get to come together and share in our love of these things. And one more step, I believe that the next generation is a mixed generation of creativity, where they want to do a lot of different things. They want to learn a lot of different things. And I want the magazine to not just recommend great things and not just demonstrate great things being done, but also have articles from wonderful people demonstrating how to do this, teaching you, helping you, guiding you. How do I make movies? How do I draw? How do I, make the most of my stories and my editing and my whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to do? That's my dream for Sugar and Bones magazine. I hope that it's going to last for a long time, and it's just going to be this thing where, you keep coming back because there's always great material, because the person who's making it has really great taste. And even when I have to pass it on to somebody else, that you're only getting the greatest shit. Digger Mesh has a great fucking thing that's going to be in my book. I wouldn't fucking have it in there if it sucked. It's these zombie animals. It's really great. Zombie pandas. It's fucking fun. Digger's brilliant. Aaron's doing a great twist on the classic kind of classic kind of supervillain thing with this Kneel Before Doomface thing, and he's got a short with I think his Nick Fury kind of amalgam character, but he's like a comedy version of this thing. Very fun. Aaron knows what he's doing. My buddy Steve Kurth, one of these things, he asked me to take some pages that he had done as samples and to turn it into something glorious so we could release it. And he and I have written two things together that I think are next level, that you're going to love: Food Fight and D for Dementia, which is about an elderly veterinarian, not a veterinarian, an elderly veteran from World War II who's like, he's lost so many people that his only friend is death, and death has him going out and killing bad people, so that he'll spare the good people if the dude kills the bad people. And Steve, he asked me to do this thing, and I turned it into an awesome bit called The Principle. That's another bit of that's going to be in the book. And there's so many more to come. And there's great artists who are going to be getting on the covers. We're working on David Mack right now for the D for Dementia cover. Working on Liam Sharp. We've got a whole bunch of really wonderful people who are going to be coming in, who are big names, to lend some of their star power to this thing. And hopefully over time, I'd like to get some of these people in the book doing shorts and doing some of these things with me. I have so many ideas that instead of doing them as miniseries and long form series and all this stuff, I'm going to do them short form. I'm just going to give you little pieces of it, just to get the basic ideas out there so that you can see all these wonderful things, so that I can do it with lots of great artists. And, this is just the beginning. It's me, it's Aaron, it's Digger. Those are my people. They are my best friends, and they work for me. Aaron works with me on all my things as an editor, and Digger now works with me on all my things as my, basically my design advisor. He's the art, and Aaron's the prose, and and I work in between the two of them, and the three of us together are the ones who are basically going to generate this magazine. But then
the Steve Kurths, the artists. There's so many artists that I'm going to bring in. Some of these will be big names who I always wanted to work with, and then some of these will be people who nobody really knows, or people that people don't necessarily appreciate as much as they should, like somebody like Don Kramer, who's a good friend of mine. Love Don, been wanting to work with him on something for a while. So, there's a lot of wonderful people out there that I know, that are going to come in to be working with me, because, comic books are not made by yourself. You make them with people. It's a collaborative experience. And then when it comes to the music, and then when it comes to writers, there are lots of people. And as we start to generate money from the magazine, we're going to be able to bring in people. And, but a lot of this, I'm going to be taking some of what you guys are helping me make here to put into this stuff, so that we can get the covers that we need, so that we can make sure that it's promoted with ads on social media and various places, so that it shows up like it should in your feed, so that you know about it, you hear about it, so that you can recommend it to other people, so that you don't have to be the only person fucking telling you about Jesse Blaze Snyder's stuff and all the cool stuff that he makes. And if you're one of those people, you have no idea, man. I appreciate it so much. It's like, it's everything to me. You guys who fucking pick us up, and it's like, and I say this like it doesn't have to be me. Make it everybody. Anybody you love, anybody's art you love, anybody's music you love, anybody's writing you love. Scream it from the hilltop. Right now, the system only works for the people who sell out. People, and I don't mean sell out like it's okay to make money. It's okay to take yourself out of fucking poverty. None of us should be freaking suffering the way that we're suffering right now. I mean, the people who sell their soul, they sell out artistically. They stop saying and directing themselves the way they want to be. They stop carrying themselves like who they want to be. I haven't stopped doing that. I've refused to. All right? And I'm going to lead a charge. I'm going to make it easier for other people to do the same. Right now, it's impossible for other people to do the same. I'm a fucking lunatic for doing this way. Most people think I'm fucking nuts. You're honest and being authentic, and you're talking about controversial subjects all the time. You just said nigger a minute ago. Yeah, and here I said it again. It's just a word, guys. But this is the space I need to create. I need to create the space where we all know, yeah, what's the fucking big deal? Jesse don't fucking, you think Jesse cares about your fucking race? You fucking crazy? It's like the most insane thing ever. Words are words. We should be able to have conversations. We need to be able to do this. And only the people who are brave enough to open up a new fucking can and show us what it should be like are going to create that world. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create this new fucking world. Please, come with me. You are here, and I am so excited to have you on this fucking journey. And just thank you. And there is so much. And I'm going to be promoting myself and like the things that I do less on the show. I know you guys are here. And like, this is just kind of me going like, for one time, for those of you who hear this, please, I invite you on this journey with me. This journey into music. When I say that I put out some music, check it out. Watch the video. Listen to the album. I promise you, you will not feel that you wasted your time. That is my number one concern. Your time is valuable to me, and I do not want to waste your time. I've been talking for over 2.5 hours here now, but I like to think that for a lot of you, you don't feel that I'm wasting your time. And if you're one of those people who feel like their time has been spent well listening to some things that Jesse Blaze Snyder had to say, I beg you, enjoy my music with me without me having to ask too hard, because I'm not going to ask so hard anymore. I'm just going to kind of leave what I'm saying right now as the thing. I'll mention it. I'll direct you guys over to my website and stuff. Sometimes if I'm feeling passion, I probably won't be able to help myself say something. But for the most part, I'm just going to kind of point you guys in the direction of my stuff from now on. And I'm just going to leave it there because you guys are listening. And I see that so clearly. And there's no reason to fucking beat you over the head with all of the things that I'm doing and tell you a million times, because you are here and you are checking my shit out, and it's amazing, it's incredible, and you will get a reminder, and that's going to be it from now on. But within that reminder,
I want you to understand, we got artists that you've never heard before who one day you will hear, because I am stabilizing through this show, and I am getting myself into the exact position that I've wanted to be in, where I actually have a platform to promote things that I do, and I have the means to be generous and open doors for other people, and not have to be so concerned about my children and myself and putting them through college and all this other shit. This company is going to continue to expand. In the near future, I will launch conspiracy comics, which are designed to explore the various conspiracies that we've heard about, in the world, the craziest ones like fucking flat Earth and whatever else, but in the context of, a slightly more traditional superhero sort of thing. A heroic protagonist who will star as like the lead in the thing, trying to get to the bottom of the flat Earth and what other things. There's a lot of different concepts for all these things that are sort of basically laid out, because this is my world. This is I want to bring in creative people to help create these things, and have it be meaningful, and all the people that I'd like them to develop it, and I want to develop it with them so that we can create what ultimately will become a shared universe. And all that stuff will be really cool and inside knowledge for somebody like you who's listening right now. But before we get to the conspiracy comics, I might do some licensed comics. There's some different licenses that we've been looking at, and I'll keep a cheat sheet being up my butt about those ones so that nobody goes, that's a good idea, I'm gonna go do that. But there's a bunch of things that me and Aaron have talked about for a while about licensing, to do some simple ones. And some things that might be cool in anthology magazine form. The Sugar and Bones is a little bit of like a test for kind of a new format and new thing that I'd like to do in comics. I have a friend of mine who wants to be one of our investors, and he likes double-sized comics, like the prestige format. I really like those too. It's one of my favorite reading experiences as well. And I've been toying with the idea that we might end up doing like all of our books like that as we get things going. But we have so much intellectual property, for me alone, and then so many fucking brilliant people, so many cool things. There's some cool things too I want to break out with my dad that I'd like to do in the magazine. There's a couple songs of his that I want to turn into little lyric comic books. A song called Destroyer and another song called The Beast that are actually like a series of songs. There's so many little things. There's the Strangeland comic book that I wrote, but only the first issue came out years ago for my dad's movie. We're going to freaking get that out. There's so much stuff. All of this stuff has been on the table for me to do for a while. I just could only do it so quickly. I've been having to go so slowly because, I'm investing in myself. Like, that's the real reason. Like when Jesse says I'm not eating, it's because it's better for me to invest that money that I would have spent eating in my comic book. I would rather be able to continue to build this company, continue to do this thing. I want it to be something that can sustain the artistic community. I want to make something here that benefits the art form. I want my company, the comics, to be better because my company existed. And see, my show's so long that I've gotten like 3 phone calls today. Hey, Cassidy, I love you, sweetheart. Happy Thanksgiving. Let me call you back. I'm just finishing my podcast. So the speed to which I am going to be able to do things. And I don't know how long it's going to take for my team to start selling ads and for all these things to get into place and for me to be, crack-a-lacking and actually making some money that will affect my life enough that like I can kind of breathe easy, because it's going to take a little second for me to get out of like, certain little kind of debts and some other things that I've got going here. But ultimately, I've been squeezing by with very little for a long time, and even the smallest change here is going to grease the wheels for me so fucking quickly. You have no idea. I'm so grateful. I can't wait to do it. It's like these are all these things that I've been planning and doing and working on and pushing forward anyway, but I just haven't exactly been able to get there. Oh my God, I'm going to finish King of Kings. Holy shit. That's the fucking first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to fucking pay to have fucking King of Kings finish. I had to stop King of Kings. I was we were on the last issue. The whole thing's written on the last issue. The second issue's drawn. The third issue's drawn. I had to stop coloring it. I had to only the first issue got colored. Only the second issue got lettered, and only the third issue got drawn. And the fourth issue is written and done and waiting. And oh man, that's probably the first thing I do. I'll take some money from these advertising, and fucking David Witt will get paid, and DC Hopkins will get paid, and fucking, oh man, just think of all of the babies you're feeding, all the fucking mouths you're feeding. And these are great people, brilliant fucking people who deserve to get paid well. And my page rate is good. I pay a good page rate. You know, I try to treat people right, and they own a portion of King of Kings. You know, everything that we do in my company with Blacklight District, we try to do it the right way. You know, we make fucking superhero stories and shit. Well, we try to act like it too. And that's just the facts, man. That's who I am. That's who I've always wanted to be. This is the world I want to live in, where people are appreciated for their fucking crafts, when they're fucking rewarded financially. You know, I'm just saying to you guys who fucking love and are here, like, I'm going to pay this forward. Keep listening. Keep sharing. Know that you are not alone, that there's a whole audience here who thinks like you, who hears me say this insane shit, and you're not the only one chuckling along with me. You're not the only one in agreement. They like me. They really like me. And I appreciate you liking me. I like you. I like everybody. I'm kind of easy like that. Granted, you know, there are some people that I prefer spending time with and others that I don't, but I do try to love everybody. You know, at the foundation of it all, I believe we are all one, and we have to be together as a community. We have to be good to each other. That the more talent there is in the world, the better. I don't want to hold anybody back. I want to see people succeed. You know, a while back, I finally felt like maybe people got me when somebody said, yeah, you know, Jesse, the thing about you is you talk yourself up and you're very confident. But unlike a lot of other people who do the same thing, you are just the same way about other people. And you lift other people up all the time, and you constantly gush about this thing that you appreciated, that thing that you appreciated. You love that. You love that. You really have nothing but nice things to say. And granted, I have critiques as well sometimes, but I like to have nothing but nice things to say. If you don't have anything nice to say, shut the fuck up. You know? And so I want to take this one more step further, okay? So you see this, and what I've told you, and maybe I've never told before, but I'm saying it right now. Blacklight District Studio is a fucking amusement park, man. I love Disneyland, and I love great adventure, and I love roller coasters, and I love community, and I love shared experiences, and I love the fucking monoculture, and I love that. And I've spent my whole life going to those places. And you know, many years ago, the gifts of the mushrooms were like, why are you afraid to dream a little bigger? Why aren't you afraid to what do you like? You know, like who do you admire? And I was like Walt Disney, and like the thing, like they're like, yeah, of course. Like, wouldn't it be amazing to rebuild Atlantis? To have a fucking place like Disneyland, but better, with fucking Library of Alexandria and freaking, you know, places where your kids are fucking safe and can have fun, but the adults can go off and go on fucking roller coasters and just all of this great stuff in one place, and you know, just places where people can meditate and relax, and just all of the staff aren't just like staff, they're all like fucking monks and shaman and stuff, and like walking around and healing people and giving people advice and wisdom, and like everything, just the soundtrack is all of the music of the Blacklight District Studios, all the different people that we've helped to give careers to by fucking putting a little bit of money in them and having a little bit of faith that they have great talent, and that if you help them succeed, that they can. And all of those people could be fucking playing all over the place, right alongside some of the music that I made, right alongside some of the music my father made, my ancestors have made, and fucking, you know, riding rides based on comic books that I made, and riding rides based on movies that have been produced by my family and friends, and all of these people, you know, riding the fucking Doomcock ride that Aaron made, or being chased by zombie animals that Digger did something. Digger's got a new project that's really great. It's going to be coming to Kickstarter. It's called Baby Buddhas. Oh man, I'm so excited for it. I'm helping him. I wrote the theme song for his thing, and I'm just helping him in any way that I can, basically. But Baby Buddha's toy is really going to be really cool. Keep your eye out for the Baby Buddhas. I think if you go to the Kickstarter and type it in, it's spelt different, the Buddha thing, but it's you can probably sign up for notifications. But I'm really excited. Find Digger Mesh on social media. He's on some social media, Digger Mesh, and he's the only fucking digger. And you'll follow him and you'll see some of the Baby Buddha things he made, and you can hear the song that I made for him. But anyway, yeah, that's what I want. I want to rebuild Atlantis. I want to make the most beautiful amusement park that anybody's ever heard of. And I just want it to be massive, and like there's like a limit to how many people can like get in, not like in a bad way, but like in like a way of like just because so that like it's never overcrowded, like it's just a glorious place that like people could go to and fucking expand their minds and just have a wonderful time and really just find fucking joy around every corner. That's what I want. That's what I am building towards in my mind with Blacklight District Studio. And it starts with Blacklight District Studio's touring conventions and having a not a trivia booth, but a comic book recommendation booth or a geek culture recommendation booth where like you could come up to us and we could help you to like, oh, I'm trying to read comics. Okay, start with this and start with that. Like there's a whole bunch of things that I want to do to give back to the community in comics. And then we could promote concerts while we're there at the show and be like, oh, come Saturday night. We set up a thing with the convention. It's a free show. Come on down, have a great time. And freaking start doing concerts at conventions. So tour conventions and have a fucking concert and the freaking weekend. Like, yes, this is what I want with my life. Eventually, we get a New York store or a North Carolina store maybe, and an LA store for Blacklight District Studios where the downstairs is like do-it-yourself printing and do-it-yourself make your own stuff. And like we have everything's on wheels so you can move it out of the way so that we can do like local comedy shows and local little concerts and shit. And then like you can get coffee there and there's a couch so you can sit down and you can enjoy some comic books from our fucking library. And then you can buy the shit if you want to, but like you can also just sit and fucking relax and read something. And like above is where we make the stuff. It's like our New York editorial office is the second floor. So you're actually visiting the place where we make the comics and we make the music. Oh, and you're here in New York. Oh, you're in our New York office. You're visiting the place where we make the stuff. And then one day, go a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. I want the Blacklight District to be for you what it is for me. It was the place where I put up posters and pictures of all my favorite things, all my favorite people, all my favorite bands, all my favorite comics, all my favorite artists, all my favorite statues and toys and sculptors, lit by a beautiful black light, glowing in the dark. Full disclosure, my mom wouldn't let me have a black light because she said it caused cancer, so I never had a black light. But I still thought of it as this Blacklight District, this place where all of my shit that I loved was being highlighted, was glowing with the intensity of how much I fucking loved it. I love life. I love my family. I love people. I love friends. I love my kids. I love being a dad. I love entertaining people. I love making people smile. I love surprising them. It's all I've ever wanted to do with my life was make millions of people happy. Kermit the Frog says that in The Muppets Take Manhattan. Says it's my dream to make millions of people happy. And nowadays I know that you can't make anybody happy. And you have to be in charge of loving yourself and making yourself happy. But I still dream of contributing to making millions of people happy. So far, I'm at 1.3 million per month. But I think that there's a lot more people out there who would like to hear some of the things that I have to say. And I know there's a ton more people out there who would love some of the things that I am passionately recommending to you guys every single week. If you think you know somebody like that, share my show with them directly. I love you, and I would love to have somebody who you like added to that thing that we call this monoculture. Wouldn't it be great if we all got our friends into it? If all of your friends could come join this monoculture conversation with me. And I'm sorry that it's got to be me, and it seems like, very aggrandizing for Jesse. But listen, I don't really see anybody who believes that they can do it on that level, who's trying. It's a fucking ridiculous thing to think that maybe we can rebuild the monoculture together, and maybe I could contribute to that. But I do. And I want you, and I want your friends, and I want your family. I want us all to have the same movies that we got to see, the same shows that we got to see, the same comics that we got to see. I want to sit down and have conversations where we're referencing that shit. You know, my dad and I used to quote movies all my life, my whole life, quoting movies. I thought remembering movie quotes was going to be a much bigger part of living life. But most other people, it's like fucking nothing. But I'm here with my dad, and he and I are fucking quoting things up a storm. Because shared culture makes life worth living. It makes life worth living. You don't want to do it all alone. It's always better to share. I was just talking about seeing The Nutty Professor with my family, and it was like one of my single greatest moments of my life. We were laughing our asses off in a packed theater. My entire fucking family, we could not stop laughing. I will never forget it. Seeing The Lord of the Rings in a packed fucking movie theater. You know, Furiosa would have been much better if it was in a packed theater. It was great. But nobody saw it because, not because it wasn't good, but because the culture had kind of turned away. The culture has actually become dissecting the things about the forced culture that we don't like. Like now the culture is literally us making fun of the weird way in which they try to project culture upon us. That's become more culturally significant a conversation than the things that were actually driving culture yesterday. But I believe that if we want it, if we realize what we're doing, and that it's a lot more than just, oh yeah, I'm helping to promote Jesse's show or whatever. No. We're trying to cultivate a culture that we all share. It seems that a lot of you guys share in my culture. The way that I'm talking about everything jibes with you. Well, get more people in here with us on the culture. And I will continue to keep this conversation going the ways that we'd like to see it going. Now, don't worry about me. Like, I'm really not even motivated. If our numbers stayed like this for the rest of my life, and I can legitimately make $30,000 from fucking I'm saved, guys. My life is. I love you. Thank you. Perfect. We did it. I'm fine. But the bigger this goes, the more influence that I can have, the more we can keep on opening up that door. Because I'm going to the moon, guys. Like, I'm not planning on stopping. I know that already that what we have with this podcast is enough for me to be able to figure out how to generate money with the comic books and how to generate money with the music. I believe in my company. I don't need to fucking fund it all myself for forever. However, that culture, that together culture, that we're all enjoying the same things, that can come back, and it can come back in a better way than ever before, because yesterday we weren't recognizing that we were being manipulated and led by sheep by all of these fucking powerful money interests and whatnot who were advertising everything to us. But what I'm proposing is a merit-based thing, an artistic merit thing. I really believe that I've earned this. And,
everybody is helping me to prove that I have. The people that I'm bringing in, they've earned this too. And the people that I want to continue to bring in comics and all these things, they're all people who have earned it. And the more ability that I have to do, it's just going to be more and more and more people who you deserve to see their art. You deserve to experience their films. You deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve better art. We deserve better books. We deserve better everything. And I've spent a long enough time as an artist on the inside, seeing how it's being done, recognizing the problems with what they're doing, that I do believe that I can fix this. I can do these things foundationally so well and so right that it leads to an artistic renaissance on planet Earth. That's what I want to see. I've been feeling like there has been an artistic renaissance for a long time, or there was, with comics and toys, and it wasn't being appreciated because these people draw comics and these people make toys, whatever. That's some bullshit. And I want people to be fully appreciating deeply how incredible it is to live in a world with these levels of craftspeople. And especially in the world of AI, where so many things are just going to be... But the one thing that still exists is the soul of an individual with a passion for craft and a unique style. And maybe that unique style can be replicated, but it came from a source. And those sources deserve to be maximized, to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. And if I do anything in this life before I die, it is going to be help other people to be appreciated. Because it was the most frustrating thing for me, working as hard as I did my whole life to get appreciated. But because I was kind of soft in my approach of like getting myself out there, I was never like discovered, because on whatever little levels, ego is ruling the day. And like people like don't really want a lot of people to succeed. Lots of people are holding other people back. But I'm a Wayne's brother, and I am about lifting people up. And I hope I find writers who are better than me. I hope I find singers and songwriters and performers who are better than me. I can't wait to experience something that is better than I can currently conceive of. That's always the greatest gift, when you come into some situation, whatever, and you're like, wow, I just experienced something that I couldn't even fucking fathom. This is amazing. What a gift that I got to experience that because of you. I will never stop that shit from coming. Help us. You, me, everyone we love. Help us to build a new monoculture found on a real solid foundation of love and deep appreciation for all that is good in this world. That is who I am. That is what I am about. And if you continue to support me like you already have, I promise you, that world is going to come flying in way fucking faster than you ever could have imagined. I'm Jesse Blaze Snyder, and I am now doing this wonderful show, Coolest Alive, 6 days a week. On Mondays, we cover music. On Tuesdays, we cover animation and cartoons. On Wednesday, we cover comic books. On Thursday, we cover live action films and TV. And on Friday, we do a wild card. And Saturday, it's the hour-long Mother Show. But today, we went significantly over that. I really appreciate all of you guys who hung out with me today. This was a lot of fun to do this, and it was kind of just like hanging out with some friends and telling them how excited I am about everything that's going on. And I am. And, I think maybe I'll just announce this week. I'm thinking there's a chance, maybe I'll change my mind, but I think this is the announcement. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, I'm going to do my favorite giant animal movies. Well, not necessarily giant animal movies, but my favorite fucking animal movies. So we're talking fucking Lake Placid, another one that I just watched recently, Blackwater, Boar,
I think maybe I want to do one for a different animal. So technically speaking, it's an alligator in Lake Placid and it's a croc in Blackwater. And then we got a boar. And then I think Burning Bright, which is a tiger attack movie. And then I would just need one more. So I will figure it out. If you have any good recommendations for any movies like that, those are some of my favorite movies. Good ones. I really like the good ones. If you know of a really good, like they'll usually call it like a creature feature, please email me, jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. I'm on a creature feature kick right now. I've been watching a ton of them. A bunch of them sucked, but most of them actually have been really good. I got like some like good recommendations, and man, I've been really digging them. So I think next week, because I was building up so many movies, and they're fresh in my mind right now, but they won't be fresh in my mind for much longer. And I hate when I saw something relatively recently, but I've kind of mostly forgotten a lot of details already. So I'm going to try to do that this week. It'll be a creature feature week on Coolest Alive. So anyway, guys, I love you so much. I hope you keep coming back and joining me every day on any of my fucking podcasts. And I hope tomorrow is no different and you end up on everything they don't want you to know. But I promise you that for as long as I'm alive and as long as I'm recording, every one of these episodes will always be a fucking awesome episode of the Coolest Alive. I love you guys so much. Care Bear Stare, thank you for listening. You guys have changed my life. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully, I can change yours. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice is gonna be fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
You'll all see. The podcast playground. All right.